laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Materials, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Who's watching your home while you're asleep, at work or on holiday? With the Sheridan Security Alarm System, you can be assured of round-the-clock monitoring. Our central monitoring station is on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals, giving you the peace of mind you deserve. Sheridan Security Systems, Bonagee, Letterkenny, protecting what you value most. Call us for a free quotation on 9126 6025.
Well, there you have it for Friday. Greg Hughes is out and about with the whole team, and he's over in Raphoe today. Greg, good morning.
Yeah, over in Raphoe. You got some G up for being in Creasy tomorrow?
I know. It's going to crack. Going to be good. It's going to be good down there, you know. So I'm going to be down there helping out a wee bit.
We might call over and say hello.
Oh, please do. Sure, the crack would be great.
I'll bring you chicken feed.
Oh yeah, so Gibson's farm.
That's fine. That's fine.
You're going to get my feed then, good man. I'll give you the money tomorrow then.
Okay, no problem. I'll have the receipt.
So tell us, you're broadcast live today.
We're live from the Vault House in Raphoe, and it's business as usual for the first hour. We've got a Friday panel in studio with us, Lee, and then between 10 and 12 we're going to be learning a bit about the work of the Heritage Group, what the history of this Vault House is, the history of Raphoe generally speaking, and some of talking to some of the key people involved in community life here in Raphoe. We've got live music as well, and it's all go, and people, of course, can watch the show as they always can, Lee. So, yeah, it's going to be great. Looking forward to it.
Well, come here, have a good show, right? Come here, can I just say something, right? See, when you hand over to Donald Cavan and news, we're going to be changing over our seats here, so you might hear a bit of shuffling, but it should be grand, you know the crack.
Right, okay, thanks for that, Lee. Are you going to fire my news jingle?
I can do. Introduce the news there, now, the man.
All right, Lee, thank you very much indeed. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, and we'll kick the show off in earnest after we get the news updates now at 9:01, and it is over to Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you very much indeed, Greg. Good morning. Israeli troops are preparing to take control of Gaza City after the country's security cabinet approved a 5-step plan for ending the war. There are fears the operation could have a catastrophic impact on Palestinian lives and endanger Israeli hostages still being held by Hamas. Sky's international correspondent Diana Magne, who's in the Middle East, says Israel's military leadership are not keen on Benjamin Netanyahu's approach.
The army is exhausted. It will require drawing up many more reservists, endangering the lives of many more soldiers, and of course endangering the lives of Hamas if it feels cornered and decides to take the lives of some of those remaining hostages.
The sister of a man killed in the Omagh bombing has branded the Irish government as cold and defensive. Shoneen Conway's 18-year-old brother Garth was one of those killed in the atrocity. She's now launched a legal bid to force the Irish government to set up its own public inquiry. The Department of Justice says it would be inappropriate to comment on any ongoing legal proceedings, but it's describing the Memorandum of Understanding signed in April as an important step in its support of the UK's bombing inquiry. However, in an interview with BBC Northern Ireland, Shoneen Conway says the bombing involved intelligence and security failures on both sides of the border, and if there's going to be real accountability and understanding, both governments need to be fully transparent. National Broadband Ireland says over 1,600 Donegal premises in the Moville deployment area can now avail of a high-speed broadband connection. This includes the rural surrounds and townlands of Moville, Redcastle and Greencastle. With more, here's Daniel Pitcher.
A total of 34,000 premises in County Donegal are included in the state's intervention area, which MBI says will see the delivery of minimum speeds of 500 megabits per second to homes, businesses, farms and schools. Rural areas of Letterkenny, Creasy and Tammy have already been connected, with works in Ardra set to be complete by the end of the year. They say that they're working on the ground to progress other areas of the county through engineering surveys, designs and construction phases. MBI then makes the new fibre to home network available to all service providers operating in the intervention area. People in the areas covered by the National Broadband Plan are urged to check their air codes on the NBI website to see if they can be connected.
The Consumers Association doesn't believe enough is being done to find out why grocery prices are rising. It claims the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission isn't explaining why they're increasing. It's after the consumer watchdog said there is healthy competition in the sector. The Consumers Association spokesperson, Michael Kilcoyne, wants a proper investigation.
I think the Consumer Protection Commission must really investigate this matter. I'm not satisfied at all with this kind of an answer. And if they need additional powers and additional legislation, then they should tell the Dáil that they need additional powers.
And looking at the weather forecast, mostly cloudy with patchy drizzle to start today. Sunny spells and drier weather expected as the day goes on. Some scattered showers as well, but they'll die out as the day progresses. Top temperature 17 to 19 degrees Celsius in fresh to strong southwesterly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
Hiya. I was just reading about that awful crash at the crossroads. It was Kate's son who was killed.
Oh, no.
The roads. So many deaths. Colm, look, I'm not nagging, but I've seen you flying up that road. Please slow down. Imagine it was your death notice.
Ma'am, it's grand.
I don't ever want the Gardaí calling here.
Chat to your loved ones about their unsafe driving today so you don't lose them tomorrow. A message from the Road Safety Authority.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio with me, Greg Hughes. It is the 8th of August, 5 minutes past 9, and we are in Raphoe for the next 3 hours. We're broadcasting live here from the historic Vault House in Raphoe. We're going to learn more about this building, how it was acquired, what work goes on here. We're going to learn more about Raphoe generally and the people working within it and some of its history as well. Mary Hart, a regular contributor to this section of the show, will be joining us a little earlier on in her role as part of the Heritage Group. And also, of course, this is the first in a series, or the second really, you could say, in a series of outside broadcasts on a Friday. So we will be coming potentially to a town near you. If you want to text or WhatsApp throughout the course of the show, 086 60 25,000, that is the number, 086 60 25,000. If you prefer to give us a call, it's 074 91 25,000, or you can email comments at highlandradio.com. And just to remind you that you can watch the show, as always, on a YouTube app if you've got your smart TV or your Fire Stick. Just type in Highland Radio Ireland. We're on Facebook and on the X platform as well. Right, let's say good morning to our Friday panel who've been kind enough to join us here in Raphoe. Laura Heaney's a journalist, presenter and actor. Laura, great to have you on the show. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for joining us. Margaret O'Doherty, a pharmacist. Well, that's one string to your bow. Margaret, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Not at all. Thank you for coming to Raphoe.
And we also have Councillor Dakota Nickmenham. Good morning, Dakota. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks.
Just a quickie to kick things off, because we had a big reaction to this yesterday, and despite high fines and a reasonable level of enforcement, people continue to park in disabled zones across the county. This despite really some quite heavy fines and indeed bans from the road being handed out by a district judge last month. I suppose as an elected rep, Dakota, starting with you, you know, we're trying to get the message out there to try and convince people that this is the wrong thing to do. We've been doing that for years. We are seeing a greater level of enforcement. Fines are increasing year on year. And as I say, we are also seeing the judiciary taking really quite a dim light in relation to this. With all that being said, what is going on? Why are people still continuing to abuse these spaces, I wonder?
Yeah, I think it comes down to people's attitudes, and it's just the way that they just don't seem to care because it's not something that affects them as such. So usually the people who are doing this, who are parking in places they shouldn't, it's usually they've no experience of what it's like to need that parking space. So it just comes down to their attitude and the lack of care, really.
Yeah, what do you think the council could do? Is there anything you believe the council could do to sort of further discourage this? We were speaking on this yesterday, and the one thing I did note is that maybe the excuse could be used that they're not as clear as they could be. You know, in other places you'll see them painted a different colour, so these spots, it becomes even more embarrassing perhaps to park in them, even if you were inclined to say, I'm just using it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's definitely one option, because we know it does get quite faded, the lines, and we aren't the best at keeping up with that. But it's hard to kind of say what to do, because as usually enforcement is the main thing, but as we are seeing that is actually going quite well, enforcement, and we do have parking wardens out and about. So it's just trying to get people's attitudes to change, really.
I'd be too ashamed to do it or be seen to be doing it, Margaret. Yeah, but it seems there's hundreds of people. It doesn't put them up or down.
Well, it doesn't, because we have took a long time to get a parking spot outside the pharmacy here. We had the Irish Wheelchair Association were campaigning for it for a long time, because people found it very hard to get parked close to it when they needed to. And since it's gone on, say a couple of years now, regularly there are people parking on it, not just for a minute or two. I mean, and the only enforcement I see is ourselves. They don't have a traffic warden here in the town, so they know that they're very unlikely to get caught. It seems to be if you challenge people, they can be quite rude and say, "Oh, I'm only parking here for a minute." There's nowhere else to park is a common response as well. Like, if you don't have anywhere else to park, where do you think somebody that can't walk is going to park? And it's just it's almost an entitlement. People think they can park anywhere they like, and that includes disabled parking spots. And I don't know if we need maybe some, and rather than a fine, some sort of re-education, that these people are forced to go for a day without being able to get just to the door of wherever they want to be. And that's
it's the one thing too. It doesn't seem that you can educate or fine into somebody common courtesy to think of someone who maybe are less able-bodied than them being able to access basic services or important services like a pharmacy. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we having to? Are we caring less about each other, or what's going on?
I think it's the feeling that my needs are more important than yours, even if you have considerably greater needs than mine. And that seems to be, a lot of people have the attitude they should be able to park at the door. I mean, here in town, there's plenty of parking very close to all the shops, yet you see people literally driving from a parking space in front of one shop to a parking space in front of the other shop. It's just a habit more than anything else, and I don't know. I think the only thing is that these people really do need to be named and shamed, and like have their pictures on the paper and say, you were seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been a 25% rise in the number of fines for illegal parking in disabled bays across the county. In 2023, 415 fines issued to motorists for parking in these spaces. In 2024, 518. So, Laura Heaney, we are seeing a decent level of enforcement. That's close on 2 a day, but still people persist. It is very frustrating.
Yeah, the fines are being enforced and the punishments are being enforced, and as Dakota was saying there, the lines maybe perhaps are faded, and perhaps the bays need to be, the disabled bays could be more clear. There could be bollards. I know in other countries that there's bollards put up, and there's technology with lights, red and green lights, so there'd be apps that would recognize a person with a blue badge, and by their number plate they would register their cars, and they can get the green light to enter the disabled bay, and if they're not registered with a disabled badge they obviously won't. So maybe technology is needed to implement the laws further.
Yeah, we'll hold our breath for that one. I think self-driving cars might come before that. We'll sort it out that way. I don't know so much. In Dakota too, that's in the, sort of the public spaces. In the private spaces, it's the wild, wild west, especially the mother and baby or the dad and baby's parking spaces as well. That people just see that as that's the, as I say, the Wild West.
That's another one that's I notice quite often now that I have my own child, because it's not about the location, it's about the space.
Yep.
Opening your door fully wide enough to get a car seat out or whatever it may be. A lot of people think, it's just them wanting to be closer to the shop, and it's not that. That's not the issue. It's the actual space, so that you're not damaging someone else's car. So I am quite guilty now of every time I walk past the mother and baby space looking to see who's actually getting out, and a lot of the time there is no children getting out, and it's really hard. And as was said, like, you know, if you try to challenge someone on that,
Well, you see, you don't, because
No,
I
yeah.
think if you're that inclined to do that, you'll have no problem
No.
swearing up to someone and telling them to F off as well,
Yeah,
because
that's it,
you
yeah.
clearly don't care.
Yeah, that's it,
so-
exactly, yeah.
Do you actually go out and ask people to move from the space, Margaret?
On occasion, we've
And
had
what's
to.
the reaction like?
Generally, mostly people say, "Oh, I'm only here for a minute.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
I'll not be long," and that's the reaction. But often, they don't, like, unless you just stand there, they aren't going to move off. You know, that is a problem, that they don't seem to see that somebody else might need the space. And even, like, we've had occasions where we've come in, like in the morning, and there's somebody sitting there, and the car's still there an hour, 2 hours later. Like, that's even worse.
Yeah. And I suppose really in just raising the issue today, maybe it just lands with a person that might be inclined to abuse these positions. I mean, people can make mistakes, but I'll only be 5 minutes. I didn't see it. I do think, though, we do definitely need to choose a colour like a blue or something to try and make it more easy to spot. A caller says, people got very lazy. I'm on the road every day, and also I see people doing it. God forbid if they had to walk an extra 20 to 30 feet. And you never know when you might acquire a disability and need these types of spaces. Okay, keep your calls, comments coming in. 086 60 25,000. Loads more to get through, of course. But let's take a quick break at 9:15.
Planning a celebration? Discover the brand new Lily's Restaurant at the Mount Errigal Hotel. A stylish new space with beautiful surroundings and your own private bar. Perfect for birthdays, communions, anniversaries and more. Book now at Res Diary or call 074 912 2700.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Looking at the Kia Sportage? Call to Heron Auto Donegal, where for just €1,500 more than the diesel model, you can upgrade to a hybrid automatic with a bigger boot, spare wheel option and finance from just 3.9%. Drive smarter, drive further and drive with confidence with Heron Auto Donegal Town, your trusted Kia main dealer. Book your test drive today at Heron Auto or visit heronauto.ie.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
It's here, it's now, it's Belfast. Come and celebrate creativity at Ireland's biggest community arts festival, Fela and Fubble. For country fans, Nathan Carter, the Whistling Donkeys, Lisa McHugh and more will be playing your favourite tunes at Country Fest on Saturday 2nd of August. Dance music more your thing? On Friday 8th of August, the legendary Fela Dance Night takes over Falls Park with acts including Dara and trance legend Paul van Dyk. Uncover it all at visitbelfast.com.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time now is 17 minutes past 9. Hi, just a comment in relation to the issue being discussed, re-disabled parking bays. Margaret O'Doherty is talking about the space outside her pharmacy being misused. But even if a person gets parked there, there isn't any access to the pharmacy. There's a step which isn't wheelchair accessible. In fact, a lot of Raphoe is inaccessible. Library, post offices, credit unions, etc. The parking bays are also very badly placed, with some requiring steps down to access the main road. I mean, obviously, this is an ancient town, right?
That's exactly the problem. And we tried to remove the step into the pharmacy, and I know they also tried in the library. Because it's a heritage town, the planning officer wouldn't actually allow us to remove the step.
Yeah. Well,
so that's a problem that we have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of our control.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, obviously, there's lots of towns around the county that are historic in nature, and we have to be able to balance things. I think, because despite your efforts, you're unable to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, heritage obviously is important, but I don't think a step that I don't see that that's adding to the heritage of the town, having a step there. personally.
Not being facetious, but it's a step in the wrong direction.
I would say that, yeah.
Okay, now we're in the company of Laura Heaney, Margaret O'Doherty and Councillor Dakota Menimum, and we're broadcasting live from the Vault House here in Raphoe. So if you're in and about Raphoe, please do come in and say hello. Right, now, would you be in favour, or are you in favour of the government moving in a way that states that those who have short-term lets must apply for planning permission in populations over 10,000 people? So that's Letterkenny, effectively. We're listening yesterday to groups representing small landlords, but effectively a lot of these properties are Airbnb, and the idea being that you have to apply for planning permission, and I presume you won't get planning permission in certain areas if they believe that housing would be better suited to long-term lets. Dakota, you spoke about the rental in the past and various issues in relation to that. Do you welcome this move to try and get some of this short-term let property, private property, it has to be said too, though, into the long-term rental market?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with it. I suppose it does depend on the town, but say for a town like Letterkenny, it does have a lot of hotels and established B&Bs. I would question where the need for Airbnbs is in a town like Letterkenny. Other towns that is more rural, I can understand it more. But given the housing crisis that we have going on at the minute and the lack of rentals, I definitely would recommend it.
What do you think, Laura? It's a tricky one because really you are dictating to a private home owner what they can actually do with their home. Are you in any way uncomfortable with that, or do the means justify the end?
It is a complex issue, and as you say yourself, that the property rights of a property owner would come into question there. I think something like 26% of landlords have one property, and then about half of all property owners registered with the RTB have then 1 to 3 properties. So it is very much a circumstantial and situational case-by-case basis that you would have to analyse it on, but it does come back to like the housing crisis, and Airbnb and Booking.com and short-term rentals outnumber long-term rentals available on daft.ie, for example, 12 to 1 on average. So it's just, I suppose, looking at the situation to rebalance it rather than, completely strip property owners and landlords of their rights.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously with new rental rules that are coming in now as well, theoretically from next March, if I had a second property and I were to rent it, in most cases, that person could be in that house for 6 years, but this potentially it's my property. This could be my pension pot, and I could then say, well, it's not my fault that you're only building in the mid 30,000 houses a year. Build 70 and let me do with my property what I wish.
Yeah, absolutely. But there does come a point where changes do have to be made because the country is in a housing crisis. And then if you look at the Gaeltacht areas as well, they're suffering. They have a unique vulnerability because there is a critically low amount of properties to rent long term. So then that comes with, language and cultural erosion. So something does have to be done with there's I think 1,800 properties in comparison to 22,000. It's just not a balance.
It is a particular problem in the more rural parts of Donegal, which are often the Gaeltacht areas, but are often also the most scenic. So it's a mixture of holiday homes and short-term lets, and then we hear of national schools potentially closing because they don't have any students, and young people leaving the area or leaving the country because there's no property in their own area. At the same time, we've got these short lets, some of them are investment properties and holiday homes. So, but this doesn't catch that really as such. Do you know what I mean? Would you be in favour of something to try and rebalance, as you've been outlining in the Gaeltacht areas or our more touristy areas, if I could put it like that?
There absolutely is dire need for a rebalance of the housing situation in the Gaeltacht areas, and of course all over the country. In the Gaeltacht areas, there are they're obviously very scenic, and as you said yourself there, you take into account Donegal and the west of Ireland and Connemara. I live down in Connemara, or I work down in Connemara, so the houses that are available for short-term let in comparison to those available for long-term is it's just a tipping point. And like tourism obviously comes into account there as well, but then the tourism that's seasonal lets, and then whenever it comes to the winter, for example, as you mentioned, the schools and the health services and the day-to-day transport is all hugely impacted because there's nobody available of the short-term lets.
Yeah, and it can turn into sort of ghost towns. And I know something as simple as mobile broadband. You can often have it in these areas where it's set up for the winter, and then in the summer, locals have very little access to mobile broadband because of the content ratio and all of that. What's your views on this? I suppose I would be interested, Margaret, in your views on what we might do in sort of more rural, the Gaeltacht areas, but just in areas like Letterkenny, other sort of more urban areas where the government now has said, look, you'll need planning permission. And the truth is a lot of people won't be given that planning permission because they want people to be forced to use these houses in a different way.
It's very hard to have a regulation that forces people to do something they don't want to do. I mean, the reason they're in short-term let at the moment is obviously because it's giving a great deal higher return than a long-term let. That's one thing that would have to be looked at. But it also, as you said, when you put out something on a short-term let, the person's gone in a few nights a week. On a long-term let, you have a tenant. If down the road you want the house for yourself or to sell it or whatever, with a tenant in situ, it's a very different matter. So to suggest that somebody who has a house currently on a short-term let, and you say, sorry, you're not getting planning permission for that they'll just put it on the long-term rental market, it's more likely that it'll sit, like a lot of the property, simply empty.
Well, people will balance it out and they'll say, do I want a long-term tenant, which it will be under the new regulations, or do I just leave it sitting there and switch the heating on once a week?
Well, for a lot of people, I think that'll be the choice that they'll make, because registering a tenancy, you have to register the tenancies board, there's rules, there's all that people may not want to get into. So it's not just as simple as saying, oh, we'll take it off short-term let and put it on to a long-term let. I don't think it's going to, I'm certain proportion of them will, but another proportion of them won't. So when you make one change, it has a ripple effect that causes other changes down the line. So it may make some contribution to the housing crisis, but it certainly won't be a solution to it by any manner or means.
Yeah, there's another cohort will actually just sell up. But I suppose that might release property into that market. To the sort of more rural areas of the county that we heard Laura reference there, that is a real issue whereby they're vibrant and active and full during the summer, but there can be often empty and soulless then in the winter. And you have people in the area, they can't get a house even if they wish to return and live and work in their own areas because they're not allowed to build, and all these houses lying empty.
That's another part of the problem. But I think what we need, at one time there was a clear separation between property that was built for tourists. We had it in most of the tourist areas. Housing was built, small holiday home type things that aren't really suitable for long term, for living in year round. So it's trying to separate the housing stock that we have that is suitable for people to live in year round, and separate that from the housing stock or from tourists, which is also needed to keep, obviously, to have tourists in those areas. And until the advent of the booking platforms, like, that wasn't an issue. When you looked at a house, it was either a permanent residence or it was a holiday home. And now the line has become very much blurred, and it's trying to establish which is which almost again. And with, I suppose you can't really roll back technology, but it moved ahead of the regulations, and now we're trying to catch up. and maybe not necessarily, we're still behind because there will be another move with technology for whatever, between booking platforms or, as you say, driverless cars, or things will change the whole tourist.
The other thing is I remember thinking things would change when I was like 20. And, there has been some slight changes, right? We've got TikTok. But things aren't really changing quite as rapidly. I'm constantly waiting for this massive, we're
still waiting for sort of as you say, the driverless cars and the things we used to look at on Tomorrow's World. Some of them happened, but most of them haven't. But I think the single biggest change has been the whole housing market, like the change from when I was
planning as well, though, Margaret.
Of
I mean,
course
even now
it
to
is.
this day, I will hear people say to me, Greg, I can't get planning permission to build on my land in this particular area, yet there's planning permission for 2 holiday homes. A short stone's throw away. And that's anecdotal. I can't back that up, but I mean, this is a lot of this is planning, historic planning.
It is, and it's, I suppose people didn't envisage that things would change so quickly. Like when I was Dakota's age, everybody our age could buy a house, even on a very modest income. Everybody had a house and could aspire to a house, which now, I mean, isn't the case.
No, and to put numbers on that, like my recollection is that it was like maybe you could probably build a house, key in door, for maybe 3.5 times your salary, and that'd be a very modest salary.
Exactly.
Right, maybe 12, 15 grand a year. Now, the figures, the multiples of your salary would be 10, 12, 13 times.
I mean, it's completely out of the reach of young
That's
people. Even with a good wage, they can't.
And that's when people sort of compare interest rates to the 80s at being 15%. Not that I was old enough, but no, I wasn't actually on this.
I do remember.
But
paying
it's
them,
not quite the same because the difference between your earnings and the cost of a house were much narrower. So it's not really a fair comparison. Though Dakota. Some listeners might say, and we'll see what they text, between putting sheds in people's backyards as accommodation and, trying to compel people to use their own property in different ways, that these are all sort of sticking plasters. And the crux of this all is that we need more social housing built, we need more affordable housing built, and we need really to build a house to be more affordable most generally.
Yeah, exactly. So it just comes down to the government's lack to build houses, whether that be social or affordable houses. So we're really suffering as a result, and we're seeing this knock-on effect, and just nothing seems to be working at the minute in terms of getting rents down and getting property available to rent also.
Okay, the voice there of Councillor Dakota Nick Menimum. Now, some of your comments here. The number of times I've heard all the other spots were taken. This is not a valid reason to break the law and inconvenience somebody with a disability. That's on in relation to our first topic here. I didn't see the sign. It's not a defence. It's a driver's responsibility to be aware of parking regulations. I get that, but as someone who has accidentally parked in one of these spaces, the road was the same colour as the rest of the road. The wheelchair that was on the road was virtually invisible. And there's no vertical signage really there to sort of give you an indication. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying until such time as we address things like that there, it will be seen as an excuse. Right, where else am I? Okay, here, the messages are coming in here quite quickly. The state has no legal right to force people to long-term rent their property. These councillors are not representing their constituents. The tourism season is only 10 weeks in Donegal. People don't want to rent long-term, as tenants have more rights than the owners. In popular tourist destinations, says another, landlords can often earn more money by listing their properties as short-term rentals than by renting them out to long-term tenants. It's an investment, so it's all about the money to pay back the mortgage very often on the property. But I think also, too, even in the rental market, there is this presumption that if you have a house, that whoever is in it must pay all of your rent. It's your property. I think you should have to pay some of it as well. A caller says, slap an 80% tax on short-term lets and slap an extra dormancy tax. Use the profits to build houses, or houses get freed up and put on long-term market. Actual steps need to be taken here, not pussyfooting. Syntax the Airbnb, says the listener. Another, there are communities, or these are communities, where a significant portion of homes are owned by absentee landlords and used solely for tourist accommodation. This just leads to decline in the permanent population, a loss of community, social capital, and a loss of services because there's no population fighting for them, which is effectively, as well as you made your point, Laura, that just aligns exactly with what you're saying. Who's left then to sort of campaign for an area? All right, we'll be back with more from our guest after we take this quick break. Keep your texts and calls coming into us, 08660 25000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, or call 074 91 25000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Má tá tú idir chuigení agus 7 bliain díos, joí tú cuireadh scág hástáil potóige báilíon HSE siar an aisce íonna. Cabhraíonn an scág hástáil le cóirí luadáil se potóige aimsiú, solamíonn aon symptom le feiceáil agus bíonn sin níos fosa í a chóireáil chomhar.
Get ready for big savings in the Hillary Summer Sale. Enjoy up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. Plus, there's €50 off your blind order when you choose electric, making controlling your blinds a breeze. And if you find the same product with the same service for less, we'll match the price. Book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.ie. Don't settle for off the shelf. Let us take the stress away. It's what we've been doing for over 40 years. Hillary's Summer Sale. For the window wise. Conditions apply.
In an ancient Celtic rainforest on the Inishowen Peninsula, we discover brown bears, along with a pack of wolves, Eurasian lynx, even red deer and wild boar, living just as they did thousands of years ago at Wild Ireland. For a wild family day out, book your tickets at wildireland.org.
Your dream Donegal wedding starts here. Join us at the award-winning Villa Rose and Jackson's Hotel Wedding Showcase in Ballybuffet, Saturday 9th of August, 12 to 5 p.m. Meet our dedicated wedding team, enjoy light refreshments and start imagining your unforgettable day. No appointment needed. Visit gallangroup.com for more details.
With the inter-county season now done and dusted, the Donegal Senior Club Championship swings into action this weekend with 8 first-round ties. Join us on Sunday Sport for live coverage from 3 key fixtures. Our feature match from 4 p.m. sees the defending champion St Eunans go up against Kilcar, while we'll also have updates from the St Michael's McCools and Gweedore Glenfin games.
Coverage of the Donegal Senior Football Championship is with Highland Motors Letterkenny and the all-new Dacia Duster from just €199 per month. Refreshed looks, sophisticated, yet practical and tough. Now also available in hybrid.
Nájé mail nuair a oinn tú de chuireadh an scág hástáil potóige íonna. Glíorainn ar a 8 a náid a cara cúig a cara cúig a cúig a cúig. nó túr cuairt ar bowlscreen.ie. Own HSE.
All right, thanks for all your comments coming in so far this morning. A caller says, if parking in disabled zones had more social implications like naming and shaming, like Margaret said, offenders who receive tickets, it would make more people aware. Why don't they have a portable ramp to get into buildings, for that matter, says the listener? I don't know, is that a practical option as a business owner?
Not really, because again, you have planning, but as well as that, it's actually quite dangerous if it slipped or something like that. So it wouldn't be practical.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. Here we go. The state trying to take private property instead of building social houses. The government are chancers. Another, I think we should consider getting clampers in after a few fines. It would stop the problem. The old "I'll only be a minute" isn't good enough if you don't have children, says another listener. If you have children with you or you have a disability, you shouldn't park in these allocated spaces, but the people that do this usually they really don't care about anybody else's needs. We'll go on to our next subject in a moment, but just more generally, Margaret, I think often when we talk about housing or property ownership, I think it kind of really talks to the sort of social divides or financial divides in this country, because, you know, say if you are lucky enough to have a second property, or you know you got a good job and you're quite well resourced, you know, you can see very clearly why you might say no, you can't have a go at this. But then again, if you're one of the hundreds of thousands and the many people in Donegal that are struggling simply just to make ends meet, and you hear of how wealthy the country is, and yet you're going to a food bank every other week, or, you know, you literally can't afford to feed yourself and send your children back to school, your views would be very different then. You know, and I think it talks often when we get into these subjects of the massive divides there are in this country, the different tiers of surviving people have.
There's a massive divide between the haves and the have-nots, for want of a better way of describing it. But when it comes down to housing, you have people that have good jobs, that are well off, and yet they can't afford somewhere decent to live, and they certainly can't afford to buy somewhere to live. And when they pay rent, then they can't afford to save for a deposit. So it's partly a generational thing as well as a financial one. But how do you address that inequality? Compared to other countries, Ireland isn't quite as bad as some other countries. Obviously, when you look at the States, the divide that's between the wealthiest and the poorest people. But certainly, we have to have measures. But I feel if you could sort out the housing, a lot would follow from that. And it's proving to be a very intractable problem.
Yeah.
And as Dakota says, the only real solution is more houses and more social housing, because what's happened is that the people who a generation ago were in what we called council houses at that time, now we call it social housing, those people are now in the private rental market competing for private rental accommodation. That's pushing up rents. It's making it more attractive for people to have properties as an investment to rent out. So it's a ripple effect from the very fact, and it all started with the sale of the council houses and not replacing that housing stock for that group. And if those people had access to social and affordable housing, then the next group would have access to private rental accommodation at a more reasonable rate.
Yeah, but sometimes I think policies that we take on board here, and I understand why we might exacerbate the problems. Like, I know last week someone went to Cabinet and said, do you know this scheme whereby we are giving Ukrainians, and no shade on them, we're giving Ukrainians €800 and now €600 assistance, tax-free assistance to rent. It's actually having an effect on the tourism market. And I couldn't believe that penny's only dropping, Dakota, because I know I've spoken to you and many others. That was obviously going to skew things, because you had lots of people in different types of accommodation, such as hotels and what have you, and they're obviously trying to escape Putin's bombs and what have you. But then they were being given money, tax-free money, to go into the private rental market. It's not their fault, they were given it, right? But obviously this is going to make less property available, but also increase rents. Like, there's people around Fanad paying 1,500-1,600 quid rent because they're getting 600 quid and topping it up with 1,000, and that sets the bar of the rental market.
That's it, exactly. And it was quite obvious from the outset that this was going to happen. So for the government to take this action, and for them, when it was reviewed there, to only reduce it to 600 was pretty lousy as well in terms of things, because, and it is obviously it's no reflection of the Ukrainians themselves. They've came into this country, fleeing war, and everybody is respecting that.
But as soon as you give especially people that have been living for a long time here and may live here for the rest of their lives, as soon as you give a section of society such an advantage, it is going to cause issues. And then you find yourself taking issue with it, not you, but people in general, and having to preface it like, I'm not anti them, but...
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. So it is a massive advantage for the Ukrainians. If you're going to view a house and you go and view it and you see that there's a Ukrainian couple, and you're looking at yourself and you're thinking, well, they have a €600 advantage over me already, and they could be working the same jobs as you and everything. So there's just the way it's been done with no means test and no nothing. It's a complete
And they could have
shambles.
a 17, 18-year-old who's heading off to college, and it's going to be much less expensive for them. Policies have to be fair, Laura, or else it does drive division in society.
Absolutely. All these policies and all these legislations and laws need to have the caveat of transparency and efficiency, and there are lots of gaps in the legislation, and it all does come back to, it's not a short-term let crisis that the country's in, it's a housing crisis that we're in, and there are 5,000 kids homeless, there's 10,000 adults homeless, there's 70,000 people that have left the country, within the year, it's like legislation does have to be implemented, and it does have to be done in the right way. And you know, it's a privilege for people to have that second property. So I think the loops and the gaps in the market and in the legislation do need to be looked at robustly.
In terms of getting on the property ladder, though, and far be it for me to sort of try and nick any of Donald Trump's policies, but over in America they have recently passed a law, or whatever you might describe it as, whereby your payment of rent counts towards your ability to pay a mortgage. You know, so we have situations here where people are paying €1,500 a month and then apply for a mortgage with an €800 a month payment, and they're being declined because it's determined that they're not fit to pay. So your rent, I believe, should definitely be an indication of your ability to pay. More texts here. That's all well and good that it's someone's pension, but we never should have tied investments to property. That's the major failure in this country. If it were me, you wouldn't be allowed to own a house, and that would be that. And although the state has no legal right to force people to long-term rent their property, these councillors are not representing their constituents. The tourist season is only 10 weeks in Donegal. People don't want to rent long-term, as tenants have more rights than the owners. I may have read that already. And I've read that one as well. There are, and I read that one too, the solution is simple: limit the number of days a property can be rented out on a short-term basis each year. Greg, I was online last night and I was looking at the cost of building a new home these days. It's crazy. Buying and building is out of reach of most people who earn little above minimum wage. You know, here the government are telling you no planning, and yet the government ignore planning with iPass centres. Well, it's not strictly to. They have to go through a planning process through the local authority. The problem is that there are not a lot of people realised that the process was ongoing. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Just one more quick point in relation to this this tax. Like the one thing, Laura, potentially it could lead to, I mean, if we're reaching in like this, okay, what's to stop, say, for instance, in 15 years, if I'm living in a 4-bedroomed house on my own because, the children have flung the nest and what have you, and next thing you know, a politician says, right, okay, well, you could do with a 1-bedroomed house. I'm going to slap an empty bedroom tax on you. I think there was something like that in Britain at one point. I'm going to slap a sin tax on your 3 empty bedrooms to force you to downsize and free up that house. I mean, would that be acceptable? Because potentially you could argue that's the path we're on.
Well, I mean, it's hard to categorise it as acceptable or unacceptable. You would just have to analyse and evaluate and what the priorities are. And if there was an incentive there for that person to go to a smaller house, and if the housing situation is in the same way that it is at the minute, with, people suffering to the extent that they are, then all angles obviously do have to be evaluated. But it is just a case of evaluating those priorities and the crisis of that the situation is in.
Margaret, would you have any concerns with us heading down that road?
Well, I think, the Constitution gives property owners a lot of rights, so I don't think there's any risk of people sort of being turfed out of their homes or being forced to sell or forced to rent or forced to do anything with their homes. There are protections there, but I think what we need to look at is see, as somebody said, like housing shouldn't be an investment. It should be people's homes and where they live, not a way of making money for, and not just for individuals as a pension pot, but anybody that has a pension plan. Most of it is invested in property, not indirectly or directly. So property has become, it's the one thing that increases in value. Everything else you buy generally decreases in value as time goes on, whereas property increases in value, and that has made it the investment vessel of choice. And until that is changed and housing becomes a place where people live and rear their families rather than an investment, and that's going to take a big cultural change.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll head there, but I agree. I know exactly what you're saying. That's the voice of Margaret O'Doherty, pharmacist. Laura Heaney's a journalist, presenter and actor and is with us as well, as is Councillor Dakota Minimum, Sinn Féin Cancer in the Municipal District of Lifford Stranraer, and that's exactly where we're broadcasting from today. We are on the Diamond here in Raphoe. We're broadcasting live from the Vault House. Coming up after 10, we're going to be talking to loads of different guests, learning more about the heritage and life in Raphoe. Later on also we've got some live music as well, so lots of music, lots of conversation, and more from our three panellists once we take this quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Irish beef prices pass out UK prices. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, as Finnish cattle supplies plummet, factories are forced to pay more to farmers. As export fever hits marts, suckler weanlings surge by €800 a head. We talk to the farmer who stood up to trespassers on his farm, how to manage back to school costs, and everything you need to know ahead of the Tullamore Show. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day all summer long. Perfect for family day trips. Offers excellent value for birthday party packages. For a memorable family experience this summer, visit Leisureland Redcastle. See leisurelandredcastle.ie for more details.
I'm James Elder with UNICEF and I've been to Gaza. I've met the terrified mothers who know that their love isn't enough to feed their children. I've met the starving children in hospital too weak to cry. They need food, they need it now. UNICEF is delivering life-saving therapeutic food, but we urgently need your support. I've seen donations from Ireland bring hope where there was none. Please visit unicef.ie and help save a child's life today. Thank you.
Step into National Heritage Week. Uncover the past, explore the present, and connect with your community. From city streets to forest trails, discover the places, stories, and people that shape who we are. Taking place from the 16th to the 24th of August, find events at heritageweek.ie. National Heritage Week is a programme of the Heritage Council, supported by the local authorities' heritage networks and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Shop Homeland's August mega deals at your local Homeland or at homeland.ie. Dulux Weather Shield 10 litre buy 2 for €140. Fast Grow Seaweed Fertiliser buy 2 for €20. Pea Gravel Ton Bag now $69.99, save €10. All this and more until August 21st. Visit homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Get back to school sorted with all the essentials from school jumpers to shoes. Visit our kidswear department in store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
So mostly cloudy with patchy drizzles to start today. Sunny spells and drier weather expected as the day goes on, with scattered showers largely dying out later. Highest temperatures of 17 to 20 degrees in moderate to fresh southwesterly winds. We are broadcasting, as I mentioned just before the break, live from the Vault House here in Raphoe. Not an insignificant topic, an important topic, but one we don't have a great deal of time for, but it is significant, and we'll talk about it down the line again. Ireland's making the news in India for all the wrong reasons after a series of violent assaults against Indians and those with Indian heritage. A 6-year-old Indian girl is the latest victim of racist attacks in Ireland, read a recent article on the New Delhi-based NDTV. Now, note on News Talk and a few other channels, they've spent every day talking to people who believe they are victims of racially motivated attacks. And we heard from a member of the Indian community in Letterkenny who feels there is an increased risk. And these are people that have been living here for a very, very long time, but because of maybe the very out there narrative against immigrants now, everyone who appears a certain way, it would seem, is being lumped together. Laura, it's not really us, it's not really Arnold, it's really quite regrettable, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. The hate crimes the reported hate crimes increase every year on year, and most of those hate crimes constitute racial motives, and it's just not hard to be humane, but the racism experienced by people in Ireland at the minute is just awful. It just seems to be that the people of, you know, extreme right-wing opinions, they are very loud, even though they only constitute 2% of the population. But there needs to be huge, radical and robust changes to combat the issue.
Margaret, do you think there is an increase in racism in this country, or do you think because of sort of the online chatter that those who maybe always held, you know, racial views feel more empowered to verbalize them or take action on them? Or do you think there is a growing intolerance to people who aren't white?
I think there's always been an underlying racism. There's always an attitude towards others, be it at one time there weren't that many people of different races in this county to be racist towards, so it wasn't. But at that time, I mean, obviously travellers were discriminated and still are discriminated against. I remember gay bashing at a time was a very popular recreation almost, when that was acceptable. So I think that underlying current is there. It doesn't start with physical attacks. It starts with, you know, the name calling, the shunning people, you know, just not treating them the same as everybody else, that othering that goes on. And certainly the online space has emboldened some people. We shouldn't ignore the factor of alcohol and illegal drug use that also prompts people to act in a way that they mightn't do if they were sober. So I think we all have to be aware that this is here, and we have to call it out when we see it, when we see our colleagues, particularly in healthcare, being picked on because they're from another country.
I can't imagine what it must be like. Now, I did work in London for a while, and I was on the receiving end because my accent is such that when I'm here, people think there's an English twang, but when I'm in England, people think I'm Irish. And, you know, it wasn't very pleasant to be on the other end of that. And it wasn't just from white people, by the way. It was from people from all the common denominator that I wasn't English, I was Irish, and I worked in a pub environment. It wasn't pleasant at all. But Dakota, I can't imagine what it must be like to sort of be settled in a country for, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, to have had children here, and then all of a sudden people sort of start turning on you. Like, you know, that's a real big shift in your everyday life, that all of a sudden, through no fault of your own, that next thing you're being targeted simply because of the colour of your skin. Yeah,
it's absolutely disgusting what is happening in our country right now. It is shocking. So these people, when you're not white, essentially you are being targeted now, regardless of whether you're a refugee or you've been here for 20 years. And it's really sad that this rhetoric has come about, that people are believing it, and I think it comes down to of how much Irish people are being failed right now by the government in different aspects, that they're all just coming together now and they're attacking these minorities and these other cultures and everything because it's the easy way out instead of attacking the government. It seems to be that this is the easy way, we can attack them, they're the source of our problems, when that's not the case at all. Is there any danger, Laura, that we're over amplifying this? You know, that we are seeing newspapers, radio stations picking out some individual cases here and there, and that it may not necessarily be reflective. You know, you talked a little earlier on about the very small amount of people that feel they can be incredibly racist in an online space and what have you. But, you know, you look at who was elected in recent council elections, who was elected in recent Dáil elections, very few people in that space were elected. So is there any danger that we could be putting ourselves down over amplifying a small number of cases, or is the whole conversation incredibly justified because obviously there are victims here? Yeah, I think it's incredibly justified. I think that the right-wing people, the first preference votes that went toward people of the right wing was 0.8%, and that's just too much. Like any amplification of racist behaviour and raising awareness to that is essential, and it's completely intolerable in society. It's the 21st century, and it's unfathomable and incomprehensible that people hold these racist ideologies
and it requires a societal approach to combat the issue. We all need to stand up and speak out against it, because to be Irish and to hold an Irish identity or nationality does not just constitute to being white and Caucasian.
Okay, Laura Heaney, journalist, presenter and actor, thank you so much for joining us. It's been lovely having you in person. We've spoken to you, of course, a number of occasions over Zoom, etc. Margaret O'Doherty, pharmacist, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been great having you. And Councillor Dakota Nick Menimum, Sinn Féin Councillor in the Municipal District of Milford, Laura, thank you very much indeed as well. All right, we'll be back with much more live from the Vault House here in Raphoe. But let's now take a break for the news and obituary notices.
How we use electricity can be smarter, cleaner and greener. At Electric Ireland, we can help guide you there. Our Net Zero Hub has all you need to know about smart meter plans, home EV chargers, solar panels, heat pumps and much more. Making your usage clearer, your trips greener, your home cozier and your world brighter. Find our Net Zero Hub at electricireland.ie.
I'm Fionnuala Fibre O'Farrell Flynn, racing across the country to keep up with NBI's fibre rollout. Over 50 broadband providers are using NBI's network to bring high-speed fibre broadband to homes across Ireland. So from Ballyliffin to Ballybuffet, homeowners can pick whatever package suits their needs and still get all the benefits of rural Ireland's dedicated fibre broadband network. Connect at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Another connection. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels.
Hey Susie, I'm an undergrad. Do I qualify for a student grant?
Is your household income below €115,000?
Yeah.
One sec. You could be eligible for support worth between €500 and over €10,500.
You're joking me.
Searching for jokes.
If your household income is below €115,000, you may be eligible for support. To find out if you are, sussoutssusie.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
75 years ago, SEAT set out on a journey to create cars that move people in every sense. From the iconic Ibiza and Leon to the family-friendly Arona and Ateca SUVs, designed with style and practicality for those who expect more. Now to celebrate, you can avail of exclusive offers across the SEAT range at our 252 sales event this June. Find out more at your local SEAT retailer or visit seat.ie. SEAT. Expect more.
Your local SEAT dealer is DMG Motors, Clara Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
McGowan Hearing, your audiologist experts, now in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonna. Book your free hearing aid consultation in our clinic or your home across the northwest and beyond with Darren McGowan on 07191 00208.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Israeli troops are preparing to take control of Gaza City after the country's Security Cabinet approved a 5-step plan for ending the war. There are fears the operation could have a catastrophic impact on Palestinian lives and endanger Israeli hostages still being held by Hamas. Sky's international correspondent Diana Magnay, who's in the Middle East, says Israel's military leadership are not keen on Benjamin Netanyahu's approach.
The army is exhausted. It will require drawing up many more reservists, endangering the lives of many more soldiers, and of course endangering the lives of Hamas if it feels cornered and decides to take the lives of some of those remaining hostages.
The sister of a man killed in the Omagh bombing has branded the Irish government as cold and defensive. Seaneen Conway's 18-year-old brother Gareth was among those killed in the atrocity. She's now launched a legal bid to force the Irish government to establish its own public inquiry. The Department of Justice says it would be inappropriate to comment on any ongoing legal proceedings, but is describing the Memorandum of Understanding signed in April as an important step in its support of the UK's inquiry. However, in an interview with BBC Northern Ireland, Seaneen Conway says the bombing involved intelligence and security failings on both sides of the border, and if there's going to be real accountability and understanding, both governments need to be fully transparent. A Lifford Stranraer-based councillor is backing the government's plan to restrict short-term letting in towns with a population of more than 10,000. Sinn Féin councillor Dakota Nick Venman says while she can understand the rationale for short-term lets such as Airbnb in smaller towns and rural areas, she told Greg Hughes on the 9 till noon show that towns like Letterkenny have plenty of tourist accommodation options.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with it. It does depend on the town, but say for a town like Letterkenny, you know, it does have a lot of hotels and established B&Bs. You know, I would question where the need for Airbnbs is in a town like Letterkenny. Other towns that is more rural, I can understand it more. But given the housing crisis that we have going on at the minute and the lack of rentals, I definitely would recommend it.
National Broadband Ireland says over 1,600 Donegal premises in its Moville deployment area can now avail of high-speed fibre broadband connections. It includes the townlands of Moville, Redcastle and Greencastle. With more, here's Daniel Pitcher.
A total of 34,000 premises in County Donegal are included in the state's intervention area, which MBI says will see the delivery of minimum speeds of 500 megabits per second to homes, businesses, farms and schools. Rural areas of Letterkenny, Creasla and Tamley have already been connected, with works in Ardra set to be complete by the end of the year. They say that they're working on the ground to progress other areas of the county through engineering surveys, designs and construction phases. MBI then makes the new fibre to home network available to all service providers operating in the intervention area. People in the areas covered by the National Broadband Plan are urged to check their air codes on the NBI website to see if they can be connected.
The Consumer Association doesn't believe enough is being done to find out why grocery prices are rising. It claims the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission isn't explaining why they're increasing. It's after the Consumer Watchdog said there is healthy competition in the sector. The Consumers Association spokesperson Michael Coyne wants a proper investigation.
Prices are increasing for food products at a huge rate in this country. They may well say that there is, competition, but the evidence would show that prices are increasing, and they haven't explained why these prices are increasing. I think the Consumer Protection Commission must investigate this matter. I'm not satisfied at all with this kind of an answer. And if they need additional powers and additional legislation, then they should tell the Dáil that they need additional powers.
Mostly cloudy with patchy drizzle this morning. Sunny spells and drier weather expected as the day goes on. Some scattered showers as well, but they'll largely die out into the afternoon and evening. Top temperatures today 17 to 19 degrees Celsius in fresh to strong southwesterly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. You can check all today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team until 11 o'clock, good morning.
The obituary notices this Friday morning, August 8th. The death has taken place of Patricia White Bluon, Luxembourg, formerly of 2 Church Terrace, Moville, reposing at 2 Church Terrace, Moville from 4 o'clock until 10 p.m. today and tomorrow from 12 p.m. until 10 p.m. Patricia's funeral mass will take place at 10 a.m. on Sunday in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by private cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Funeral mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. The death has occurred of Susan Brown, née McColgan, Ballyarl Crossroads, Killygordon, reposing at McCool's funeral home today and tomorrow from 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. Funeral leaving her late residence on Sunday at 12:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon at 1 o'clock. Interment in the adjoining churchyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on Killygordon Parish YouTube channel. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has taken place at his home of Martin Curran, Crockglass, Quigley's Point. Removal from Kelly's funeral home, Station Road, Carndonagh, today at 2 o'clock, going to his late residence. Removal from there on Sunday at 12:20, going to St Columbus Church, Drung, for 1 o'clock funeral mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on MCN Media. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Heart Failure Service, Letterkenny, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of William John Liam Porter, 36, Brayfield, Cloddy, County Derry, and formerly of Buncrana and Athy, County Kildare. Funeral from his home this afternoon, leaving at 1:30 for 2 p.m. Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Cloddy. Interment immediately afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on mcn.live. Family flowers only, donations if wished, in lieu to WHSCT Sparing Unit Altnagelvin, care of McLaughlin Funeral Directors Dungiven. The death has occurred of Patrick O'Donnell, also known as Jock MacDonald Scotland, formerly of Rossbeg. His remains will repose at Shuvlin's funeral home Sandfield Ardra this afternoon from 3:30 until 4:45, followed by removal to St Connell's Church, Kilclunny, travelling via Rossbeg, Portnew, arriving at 6 o'clock. Funeral Mass will take place at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Patrick's funeral mass will be live-streamed at Shuvlin's Funeral Home Facebook page. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. With 3, even the small rewards are bigger than you think. Things like money off runners that makes your first jog in 3 years slightly less painful. Or early access tickets to that gig you said you'd literally die if you missed. It's the little things that can feel massive. For rewards, discounts and more, 3+, there's nothing bigger. T's and C's apply. 3 customers only and registration required. Offers subject to change. See plus.3.ie for more details.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. 08660 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Make sure to stay in touch with us. Give us a call either on 07491 25,000. We've got loads of conversation and some great live music for you coming up between now and 12 noon. So please do stay tuned. Just to remind you, if you want to watch the show, you can hop onto YouTube and watch us on Highland Radio Ireland. We're on X and on the Facebook platforms. I'll be chatting to Mary Hart very shortly. She's chair for Folk Community in Action, because we are broadcasting live from the smallest cathedral city in Europe. It is the beautiful Raphoe, and we are broadcasting more specifically from the Vault House here, right on the Diamond. And as I say, loads of conversation about Raphoe on the way. But to some of your comments that have been coming in over the course of the first hour, a commentator who said slap on tax must be working for the government. Why punish people who are probably paying a mortgage because they won't make it easier to build houses? Local county councils should be given money to build social houses rather than waiting for the developers to come on board. Local people would have jobs then too. But you'll hear the likes of Micheál Martin being critical of local authorities for not doing enough in terms of house delivery. A caller says it's about paying their mortgages. Greg, have you looked at what Meadowbank is charging for rent? Both short and long-term mortgages are well paid. This overvaluing on rent has been happening for nigh 2 decades now. If your mortgage isn't paid when you're charging 400% your mortgage repayment, you shouldn't have property in the first place. I'm just saying, and it was a throwaway remark, that some people, and I've had conversations with them, are of the view that all of the rent, effectively, whomever's in their house should be effectively buying their house for them. Now, obviously, a service is being provided. That's not a hill I'm prepared to die on. It just feels to me like that's just maybe part of the societal situation we're in. Hi, Greg. I've at least 2 relatives that have given up on long-term rental after having terrible trouble trying to remove them from the property for not paying the rent. It seems you cannot evict someone that has nowhere else to go. Another, hi, Greg. Could you ask Dakota, would there be any chance we could get 20 minutes free parking in Ballybofey, the same as Letterkenny? If not, is this not discrimination on the people of Ballybofey? Well, we've debated that before in the past, you know, and the general consensus is that businesses weren't necessarily in favour of it. I seem to recall that being related to me by one of the councillors in that area. But let's have that conversation now. Would you be in favour of a term of free parking in Ballybofey, Stranraer? What about restricting people who don't have a local connection from buying a house, similar to the Section 47 Planning Act? This could cut out absentee landlords. But, I mean, obviously that wouldn't be retrospective necessarily either, would it? A caller says we can blame Ukraine, but we can't blame Ukraine, but we already have a massive housing issue with defective blocks. This is the one reason that landlords should be forced to rent out short 2-year terms to help these families. Another here, Greg, I have a wee boy with autism who is a flight risk. So even though he's too big for a car seat, I do look for family space. My wee boy has a hidden additional need, so people needs to be mindful that could also be the case. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not incredibly judgmental one way or other, but if I saw you getting out of one of these spaces with your sons, I'm not going to look at you and go, this, that, and that. I think I would, and I hope most people would have an understanding that it's done through necessity. The councillors are just speaking spin, but they've no solutions. If they ban me from renting my house for 10 weeks in the summer, I will leave it lying empty rather than rent full time. Yeah, there you go. That's what some people will do. That's what Margaret talked of there. Another caller says the primary constraint remains the lack of suitably zoned land. Unless more viable land is brought forward for residential development, the delivery of new housing will remain severely limited. Local authorities must take proactive steps to rezone appropriate lands to meet current and future demands. That comes in from Dara there. And as well as that too, our infrastructure, power, but particularly water, a major issue. How could you, in any good conscience, connect a single property to the Milford Water when restrictions are in place and will continue in place for quite some time to come? Greg, I own my house. It took me 25 years to pay for it. No one will take that from me. I would burn it first so they can think again. It's my house and I'll do what I want with my house. It is mine. A lot of people very passionate about this issue. Tell Dakota I'm not downsizing to compensate for bad government policies. Why can't property be my pension plan? I'm not a banking whiz or stock exchange player like many politicians. Another here, so basically the government caused a housing crisis, then invited tens of thousands of immigrants into the country and now suggests that property owners be penalised for their failures. That's just typical Irish politicians, says that listener. Another one, I can't believe what I'm hearing. Evaluate all situations in regards to housing, private property. Can you imagine your home on your own land being taken off you because of government communist policy? If they push ahead with the compulsory purchase bill rather than a referendum which they know they will lose, then the precedent has been set and your private property will be no longer secure. Can I just say the government never proposed that? That was a policy that was misattributed to government. That was a people before profit. They offered that as some sort of a solution to it. It was shot down. No one liked it, and the government certainly weren't backing that. So it's not theirs, that plan. Morning, Greg. Just as you're talking about housing, do you know if you're buying your first home and because it's not a new build, you are both entitled to first-time buyer scheme? Also, if you're buying a house and it's over a certain amount, you're not entitled to Help to Buy scheme. I was sorry I missed your show when you had Housing Minister on, wondering what his take is on this. If it's your first home, new or old, you should get help. Also, shouldn't they put a ceiling on price of a house because prices are so high? Shouldn't they not put it on? I think that's a double negative. Should they not put it on? A certain community are being given the blame for attacks on Indians instead of the scum the parents of this country are raising. Oh, it's not my boy's fault. He fell in with a bad crowd. Well, guess what, folks? The buck's got to stop somewhere. Start with your own house. Hi, Greg. Just wondering what's your thoughts on landlords refusing to rent to locals in the local towns because they are opting to rent to immigrants because they get 3 times as much rent from the government. What is the situation there? Is this off the back of... I know one lady posted in Dublin. She said that she... had a house to rent and she was going to rent it out, I think for about €1,000 to a local family, and they were applying for HAP, and she says she got a call from DCC to say, well, hold on a second, we'll give you $4,000 a month if you rent it to a refugee family. Now, I've only seen this one post, but it's amazing how one post, be it true or not, I'm not sure whether it is or not, ends up getting quoted and re-quoted and becomes as if that is the policy all over the shop. Maybe it is, I don't know. 08660 25,000. Good luck. If you're playing the bingo today, here are the numbers.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 8th of August. You're playing for the daily prize of €1,200 on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S20. It's game number 32. The numbers are 57, 9, 89, 15, 14, 43, 35, 73, 31, and finally 48. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer, and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
Looking for great food, live music and a friendly atmosphere? The Inbar Group has you covered. From Canavans Ballygolly to the Village Inn Killyclogher, plus the Cat and Fiddle and Daly's Bar in Omagh. Relax at Hagen Coffee Bar or the Village Coffee House. Visit inbargroup.co.uk to book your next night out.
Get ready for the Donegal League at Brian McCormick Sports. BMC Teamwear, fully personalised kits with matching training packs. Call in to our Teamwear room or send us your wish list to teamwear@bmcsports.ie. Brian McCormick Sports, sponsor of Donegal League Premier Division.
Join David James and his band this Saturday night in the Allingham Arms Hotel, Bundoran. Doors open at 9 with support from Keelan Brown. Don't miss David James and the Allingham this Saturday night.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Every Friday this month we are out and about around our beautiful region. Today we are in the smallest cathedral city in Europe. It is the wonderful Raphoe, and it is dripping in heritage and history. Mary Hart is Chair of Raphoe Community in Action. And Mary, thank you for having us, by the way.
Very welcome to Raphoe. I'm glad you've finally made it.
Yes, indeed. We have obviously a lot of history and heritage right across the county, but it feels present here as it does in Ramelton, and there's a few other places, if you know what I mean, whereby it still feels historic. It still feels current, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I would dare to say that Raphoe probably is one of the earliest settlements in Ireland, and where I'm looking, you can't see, but behind on the window, there's a Beltany Stone Head, which brings us out to the Beltany Stone Circle, which is at least 4,000 years old. There's a stone lintel beside the Beltany Stone Head sitting there, which is one of the earliest stones of a monastery in Raphoe. So we are sitting on the southern side of Mungari Hill. That's Raphoe, second highest town in Ireland. And that tells you, so we're on a hill, and on the other hill, looking down to the south, is the Beltany Stone Circle. So when the pagans lived for thousands of years, that was where their centre of ritual beliefs were practiced. We don't know where they lived. They could have lived here.
A lot of it's speculative, because why have 64 stones be arranged in a circle? We can only really presume, can't we?
No. We know why stone circles exist. They were like a calendar, of seasonal calendar, among other things. So the farmers, the earliest farmers, were the people who settled. Before that, they were hunter-gatherers, and then the earliest farmers then settled and began growing their own crops and seeds and manoeuvring the land. So the stone circle, at least that's what it was. It was a ritual site, but it was also a farming calendar for the ancient people to tell them when to sow their seeds and when to gather the crops, when the sun rose, what time of year, all of that. But the historical connection with Raphoe is that around about 800, Christians came along, this new religion, so this began to evolve here. So the people living here were still out at Beltany, and the new monks that were coming along to practice this new religion, or to spread. So the Columkill monks, there's no evidence that Columkill actually set up a monastery here, but there was certainly one of his monasteries set up here. And then from that, the monastery of Yunan evolved here. So that's why Raphoe is Rathbach. So it's the fort of the huts. So that would have been the huts of the monks. We have now found evidence recently. We had an excellent seminar about 2 weeks ago, thanks to Creative Ireland and Donegal County Council. Dr. Brian Lacey and myself, both of us historians and both of us archaeologists. So we went in a search to see, can we find evidence of this monastery? And we've asked the local people to involve themselves in that as well, because the town is full of old walls everywhere. And there was an assumption that those old walls were built when the castle was built, which is the 1600s, but actually they probably go right back to the monastery. So we definitely know that the Cathedral of Raphoe, St Eunan's Cathedral, which is now the Church of Ireland Cathedral, that is definitely the site of the earliest church, the earliest monastery. And we believe that we've found the bath of St Eunan's, which was a pilgrim bath where pilgrims from all over Europe came along to dip their feet, probably, into this bath. And Brian Lacey and myself have managed to find it. And that is new. And
so our knowledge is evolving all the time,
all
really,
the time,
it?
of
Which
course.
is quite exciting.
Yeah.
Do we know why the Raphoe became or is such a religious centre? What is it about here that has drawn so much over the centuries?
Well, it's no surprise that most of Donegal is the diocese of Raphoe, both Catholic and Church of Ireland, the diocese of Derry and Raphoe, and then the Catholic diocese of Raphoe. That is because of the Beltney Stone Circle being such a powerful, for thousands of years, ritual site. So when the Christians came along, they had to sort of set up right beside or camp nearby to woo the people away. And this was a very strong centre of Christian learning, of Christian beliefs. And that, for that reason, it evolved into an important centre, became from a monastery, it became a Roman Catholic diocese. And that was why it was decreed a cathedral by the Pope in about the 12th century. So that then evolved, and the church was, when the plantation happened, the church was in a ruinous state. So the new established Church of Ireland then restored the church, and that's why it is now a Church of Ireland cathedral, which has happened to many of the older churches in Ireland. So for that's why it's so important. It was a very important centre of Christianity and centre of learning. And it has held its own down the years. I mean, I grew up 4 or 5 doors down the street here. The Red Door and the Diamond was where that was our playground. And we went to what we called the Rocks, probably some kind of an ancient site that we don't know, that was maybe destroyed. But during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, a lot of the border towns just faded away, lost their importance. But Raphoe hasn't, and it's, I think, possibly because of its structure. It's a very nicely laid out town. But it also has the roads coming in all directions. You come straight over from Letterkenny over the mountain, you come through from Sligo to Derry, and then you can go, if you need to go across Castlefin. So we're right there in the centre.
And it's an amazing offering that you have, right? Because, I mean, obviously we could talk of Slieve League, you can talk about Letterkenny, you can talk about, Dannings, or you can talk about Mallinhead and everything it has to offer. Obviously we're landlocked here. But it has a great deal to offer in terms of history, heritage, beauty, Céad Míle Fáilte and all that type of stuff. Where are we at, do you think, in terms of realising the full potential of that, sort of like in east of the county Wild Way, so to speak?
Yeah, I was involved with a group that has since, because of COVID, just disappeared again, which was Donegal East Tourism. And what we were trying to assert was that all of Donegal has some way connections to the Wild Atlantic Way, but the east of Donegal, East Donegal, is border locked, but it's not entirely landlocked. So the source of the Foyle is kind of just over the hill there, and the source of the Swilly is just over the hill there. So we're not too far away from those Atlantic sources. And I think for Raphoe, we're definitely on the cusp. We have to find something that will attract people to come in, and it is our history.
But that
and
is
heritage.
it. You see, I mean, like, if I go somewhere foreign, there's no point me seeing a Tesco there because there's Tesco's here. There's no point me seeing a Zara there because there's a Zara here. There's no point me getting in a jet ski there because there's a jet ski here. The thing that I connect to in a place, and the thing that makes me feel like I feel part of it or I need to return, is the history and the heritage. And that is, I think, really critical for returning visitors, but also tourism growth, because that's you want to go to Ireland and you don't want necessarily the West, if you know what I mean, civilization. You want the raw culture, the scenery, the music, the food.
Yeah, we're one of the things, and I have an Airbnb cottage on the house, or beside the house where I live. It's an old farm, and an old farm building, and I have, for 14 thereabouts years been having visitors in the summer only from mostly America, from all over America, but from all over the world. And they've come here because Raphoe is central to exploring the rest of Donegal, because you're 40 minutes from Rathmullen, you're 40 minutes from Buncrana, you're 40 minutes from Rosnowla, you're 40 minutes or 30 minutes from Derry, so you're very central for that. That's one big selling point. But the biggest selling point is for us to develop our heritage centre, which is what I think the Vault House could develop. You can do a walking tour of Raphoe. You can go to Beltany Stone Circle. We do know that at least 10,000 footfall was there before COVID. I would hazard a guess that it is about double that since COVID, because people were walking locally, and it is every day there's people going there. We just need to stop people in Raphoe, and we're now working with Donegal County Council.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think with the best will in the world, you can sort of lay the foundations as local campaigners, local groups, but you do need the backing of the institutions, be it Fulch Ireland, the council, whatever it might be, that say, right, you know what, we see what you've done. There's huge potential there. We're going to back you on that.
Absolutely, and I do feel there isn't any tourism office in East Donegal at all.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely, and when we had East Donegal Tourism, which was a voluntary group, we were told by the council there's no money to fund a person. But I would like to think that Raphoe and the Vault House here would be the ideal location for an East Donegal Tourism Centre and office. And at the minute we are working, there's a new Heritage Towns initiative in operation in Raphoe. It hasn't actually begun yet. So we're asking, all the local people to say what they would like to see happen in Raphoe in terms of developing it as a historic town and as a heritage go-to place.
But even in the first instance, without all the hoops, just plug it a bit. Not you guys. Yeah. I'm on about the let's say there is an alternative offering.
Yeah,
the coast's not for everyone, albeit I know you argue we're very close to waterways here. The Vault House officially opened in the earlier this century by then President Mary McAleese, but clearly, obviously, this place dripping with history, it predates that. So what is the brief history of this building and its significance?
Well, it was built in the 1700s for the widows of Church of Ireland ministers, and it was a very perceptive move because young men would pass away and their wives and children were destitute if they were wives and children of a Church of Ireland minister. So they were given, there are 3 floors that have identical rooms, so this was where they came to. I remember growing up, Mrs. Cave, Vera Cave, lived here, and her children, and she's only recently passed away. The house then was owned by the Church of Ireland down the years, but of course it no longer served that purpose after, I think Mrs. Cave may have been the last. I think she was the last person to stay here. It then fell into disrepair, and that's why the community group then in 1998 was set up to purchase the building, because it had to be sold to a community group.
Now the ground floor obviously beautifully retained, but also modern, very sensitively modern. Is it the same of all the floors?
Identical. All floors are identical, and I suppose our biggest problem is trying to fill. So
it's been saved in its entirety then, effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when I came in here to look at it in 1998 or thereabouts, the birds were flying around inside, Wow. So thanks to the International Fund for Ireland at the time, and also Donegal County Council and the Irish government, it was purchased for a nominal amount. I think it maybe have been 70,000 at the time, thereabouts. And then it was restored from those funds, and it is now under the guardianship of a board of directors, of which I'm the chairperson. So there's 10 directors. And it's our responsibility to make sure the books are balanced and that there's lots of activities going on here. But we could do with more people. We could do with more young people getting involved. We could do with more people with ideas to let themselves be known. Because often what happens, we start a project and then people start saying, what's that about? I didn't know anything about that. I didn't hear anything about that. When we have a Facebook page, we're always, broadcasting what we're doing. So if you didn't hear about it, you weren't listening. That's essentially my
but sometimes
answer
it's connecting. It's sometimes you have to connect with people on the level you need to connect them with. So a passing recognition that something's there.
Yeah.
How do you engage and draw people in? And also you need another generation that have a sense of ownership and pride.
Yes.
Which can often be the difficult thing. Lots can happen in schools, I suppose. As
well. The seminar that we had, I went to the 2 primary schools because it was too late to involve the 2 secondary schools. schools, and the primary school children I spoke to asked them to draw their interpretation of what a monastery would have looked like here.
I saw that,
so they did a great. So that's sort of starting them off on a little journey that they'll evolve into a different level by the time they're teenagers. And a lot of them, have then got an appreciation that they live in a historic town.
But even like some transition year projects coming through here and stuff like that.
That's what I know you're going to be talking to Howard Welsh from the Royal School shortly. So he's been great, as has the Dean College in helping us out with those kind of projects.
I mean, these buildings are astonishing. Like, if walls could talk, the amount of history here, the tears, the laughter. Yeah. I don't know what room we're in now. Maybe was it a dining room or a front room or a reception room? But kids, long gone now from 200 or 300 years ago, running around in here, and the floorboards banging, and
well, my mother
people shouting up and down the stairs. You know what I mean? It's just dripping in memory and history.
Well, we have a lot of the buildings here are on this side of the Diamond are actually nearly all listed. Yeah. And my mother grew up in a little cottage up Irish Street, which I can almost see from here, and she remembers the Mrs. She said she was like Mrs. Bridges from Downton or upstairs, downstairs. This lady who was the maid here, and she wore black, all black, and then her white apron and her white hat. Yeah. So my mother remembers that. So yes, the history is.
I mean, you can just see now her standing on the front doorstep. In
yeah, going up to get milk, I think it was, and I remember the pump and where people got their water from the town pump in the middle of the Diamond. But we're there is an event which I should flag up because we're trying our best to get all of the groups in the town together. This is DLDC are working along with us to help with this. We had an event last year called a Celebration of Community. So this year we're going to have a celebration of Samhain, and Samhain being Halloween in the modern word, and it would have evolved from the place like Beltany Stone Circle. So we are asking the community groups to all come together on that day, I think it's the 4th of October, and to dress up in a fancy dress, because Halloween was all about the spookiness and when the living and the dead passed easily through each other. So hopefully and we have another meeting, I think, on the 24th of August for people to understand what's going on. But, so again, all of the groups, I'm now saying to all of the groups, this is happening, and if you want to be involved, get in touch with us.
All right, and I'm sure me and you'll speak about that between now and then.
We certainly will. Yeah.
All right, okay. Listen,
and I should add as well, you're saying about flagging everything up. As you probably know, I do work with Nationwide, RT Nationwide. So we're going to be doing a piece about the two there are 5 heritage towns in Donegal. So we've picked 2 of them, which is Raphoe and Ramelton. So we'll be doing that shortly. We'll be filming what is being done for heritage. And
what are the other heritage towns? Am I putting you on the spot there?
Not really. I think Ballyshannon is the other one.
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
one of the oldest
Moville
towns
is the other one.
Okay. Ardra, no?
Could be Ardra. I'm not sure what the 5th one is.
Do a quiz.
So yeah.
No, I'm just curious as to. No, it does make Ballyshannon, Ramelton here. Does the other 2? I'd be be interested.
Yeah, and they're designated by Donegal County Council as heritage towns. Now that doesn't bring any money.
No, it's just I just find it interesting.
Yeah.
What are they? Come on, you can speak. So it's Ardra. Oh, yes.
Yes, it is. There you are. Okay.
Yeah. Ardra, Ballyshannon, Moville. Yeah. We got one each. And then Ramelton and Raphoe. Yeah. Oh, I've clicked into your search history, Mark. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. Where's the local church? Only joking. Listen, Mary Hart, lovely to see you.
And you. Good to see you in person.
Yes, exactly. I'm not sure if we'll chat again between now and 12, because we're going to be speaking very shortly now to Dr. Howard Welsh. Looking very much forward to that. It's great to be here, Mary. Thank you so very much indeed. Yeah. And well done for what you and the other directors and the community as a whole do, saving this building, saving it not just for this generation, but for future generations. And the will is there for young people to engage and get in here and make it their own. It just takes those young people to see that, or their parents to encourage them, because it's all here, folks, and it's thanks to the likes of Mary and others who have so much pride in this beautiful part of the world. We are broadcasting live here from the Vault House in the heart of beautiful, historic Raphoe, the smallest cathedral city in Europe. And we've got loads of conversation coming up, and some live music, and we're also going to be launching a quite exciting cash draw. Sean Quinn will be joining us for that. Okay, let's take a break, though, in the meantime.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
FBD doesn't stand for Friendly Business Ducks or the Freelance Beatbox Department. FBD stands for support. We support businesses and communities across Ireland. Visit your local branch to talk to your FBD insurance team and see how we can support your business. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Tonight at the 56th Clonmany Festival, there's Ryan Turner and Claudia Buckley at 7, with Jimmy Buckley from 9. Tomorrow Sunday, the Kavanagh Brothers and Johnny Brady. Full info at clonmanyfestival.com.
At iMotors, we've grown with you, earning your trust mile after mile. As your authorised Nissan dealer, we share a fearless drive for the road ahead, built on innovation, reliability and care. Whether you're on the main road or a back road in Donegal, test drive a Nissan built for your journey. Visit us in Letterkenny, Malin Village or at imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation. A hot coffee, a movie, local flavours, live music. Letterkenny has it all. This autumn, you'll be surprised by all that's available in Letterkenny. This reminder is brought to you by Shop LK in association with Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
Welcome back to the Vault House in Raphoe, broadcasting the 9 till noon show live from here this week, and we'll be in different locations throughout the course of August, each Friday. Of course, we were in Dunlow last week, Raphoe this week, and Caroline, where are we going next week? Do we know? In-house. Oh, we're not going out next week, right? So I've just been flagging that all morning and you never told me. That's perfectly fine. We're going to be broadcasting next week, next Friday, from the beautiful city of Letterkenny. So we don't do that too often. Okay, I'm joined in our studio here by Dr. Howard Welch, Principal of the Royal and Prior Comprehensive School. Thank you very much for calling in and chatting to us, and thanks for hosting us here in your beautiful cathedral city.
You're extremely welcome, Greg.
It's like everything, isn't it, around here, it seems. The Royal and Prior Comprehensive School is incredibly historic.
It is indeed an extremely historic institution. We trace our history back to the plantation, back to the early 17th century, when, as part of the plantation, various areas were deemed needing of education for schools, and ourselves, along with Dungannon, Armagh, Cavan and Enniskillen, all received kind of the foundation of an Ulster Royal School, and we trace our origins back to that, to 1608, and the first headmaster, Reverend Brian Morrison, arrived in Raphoe in 1618.
Why the gap between sort of this initiative and, I suppose, Raphoe getting off the ground?
I suppose the gap was, that it was difficult times. You know, they were establishing the plantation, and it was logistically a challenge. In fact, the school was originally founded in Lough Esk, which is close to Donegal town there, and then eventually moved back to the Dawson Centre. In fact, most of the Royal Schools started off in the extremities of the county, but then retreated back to the county town.
And it is the oldest school in Donegal.
It is the oldest school in Donegal, it is.
And why the longevity? Because it's also not only in Donegal, but one of the oldest in Ireland. How has it managed to persist over the centuries?
I think probably the fact that it had royal patronage, that it was established by the Crown, and that it had a charter. That would be a very good foundation plank to have. Its connection to the Church of Ireland, which is like another pillar, and also it would have had connections with Trinity College as well. So there's a couple of features there which would continue to sort of support it, and obviously the Protestant community within Donegal, as within the county as well, would have been in need of education as well, and that would have also provided a healthy part of its longevity. But you're right to point that out. You know, there would have been hundreds of endowed schools right across Ireland, and very few of them survive. So we are very fortunate.
obviously established as one of the royal schools of Ulster, and it still retains royal in its title.
Yes.
Is there any significance to that beyond just the title at this stage?
Yes, but well,
that's probably a wrong way of putting it. Not significance. It is, of course, of significance, but beyond that, does it mean anything else?
It does. 2008, there was a great celebration of the 400th anniversary of the foundation of Ulster Royal Schools, and that provided an opportunity for all the schools to come together. A history was published, and various sporting and cultural aspects were put forward, and a kind of a charter was put together to sort of recommit ourselves to connecting together. So I would meet regularly with the other Royal School heads, and we have a great relationship between us and run debating competitions and the like.
And is there a different in ethos from this to another secondary school in the county, for an example?
Yeah, I suppose this school would have a very clear Christian foundation. You know, that we have a patron body who are called the Donegal Protestant Board of Education. So they represent all the strands of Protestant faith or Reformed faith within the county.
And I suppose that makes it all the more attractive because, you know, I think sometimes this world is accelerating at a pace that the people necessarily aren't aware of or don't want. Mm-hmm. We've seen that, and now we're seeing a bit of a regress in different spaces. Yes. Has that sort of made a school with a very clear religious ethos even more attractive?
I think so. I think it's very clear in terms of what we believe and our foundations and how we see ourselves going forward. We have a chaplain as well in the school, which is an unusual feature, that, you know, we have somebody who assists the school in leading us spiritually and connecting with the Protestant community. But it's not exclusive, like, in terms of that we're a school that has that foundation, but we're open and you know, we're an interdenominational school and have connections right across the county in all faiths and those of none.
And what percentage, not percentage, because I'm not looking for specifics, but I mean, it's still a boarding school effectively, right?
It is.
So are many of you students boarders?
Yes, we have. I suppose percentage-wise it would be a small enough percentage. We have about 35 to 40 boarders would be part of the school.
That's not insignificant, is it?
No, it's not.
And would they tend to be from outside of the county, or not exclusively, or?
No, we have a sort of a group who would be from Donegal, and we have students from right up in Ashowan, Dunfanaghy, and then around to Ardra, Brucklas, Mount Charles, down to Ballyshannon. So we have a real spread
all
across
over the place. And what would the advantage be to that? Is it more sort of immersive education experience? Is that why someone might choose that? How can we speak to everybody's motivation? But I'm just curious in this day and age as to why.
Yeah, I suppose there's a range of reasons. I suppose sometimes just in terms of parents wanting to choose a school of their ethos, of their choice.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then obviously that we provide a really homely environment. It's a very special place, I must say, where students can come and have that home from home experience. I suppose a lot of people would have had understandings of what boarding schools are like. You know, it's informed by a lot of culture. But that's not the same as it is now. You know, we have really looking after students' needs and try to ensure that their experience, you know, you develop a lot of talent, you know, abilities, independent learning. You know, there's a lot of, you know, you develop very quickly in a boarding society or a boarding environment. And we have a very experienced and supportive staff.
It's whatever suits individuals. That's my view, anyway. You talked about some notable, your output, notable past students, Josh and Chloe McGee. They attended the school. They're, internationally famous as badminton players, of course. Connell Dunn is a well-known accountancy firm in the town. He also played for Donegal. Ricky Sims is the manager of Usain Bolt. He runs a sport agency, and quite famously, randomly actually, during an interview on the Saturday Sport or something, it just so happened that I think Usain Bolt was beside him, or he arranged an interview with Usain Bolt, which was kind of a fun moment. Isaac Butt as well.
Yes.
Not a bad little... there's more than that. That's just page one.
Yeah, indeed. No, we've had a lot of very well-known past students. At the present time, James Corey, a former student, played hockey for Ireland. Luke Witherow is continuing that tradition, playing hockey for Ireland. The McGee's there, you've got Sam, Josh, Dan and Chloe, and of course Rachel Dara as well, is continuing that tradition. And we also have... some many fine athletes as well. We've got a young lady, Elsa Moore, is about to head off to America on a full scholarship for her athletics.
And of course, lots of people whose names aren't necessarily in the public domain that are very successful ploughing their own path. Listen, it's been great. Learning a bit. Thank you. I appreciate you calling into us. Unless there's anything you want to add, Howard?
No, I suppose just to back up what Mary was saying, just the historic nature of this town. The boarding house is separate to the school and provides that sort of element of history in the town, along with the cathedral, the bishops, the castle, the Vault House here, the Diamond, Oakfield. All those things come together to bring a very rich history environment. And also to say that, you know, we're also interested in our current students, but we've got a very active past students as well. And they're always very keen for people to contact them and to involve themselves in their work as well.
All right, and it's a great opportunity to celebrate, you know, who we are in all the different areas that we live and the way we live our lives and what have you. Listen, thank you so very much, Dr. Howard Welch. It's been lovely having you in studio with us. He is principal of the Royal and Pryor Comprehensive School. Good morning to Carmel Calderbanks, watching in New York, but originally in Raphoe. Carmel, isn't that the wonderful thing about us streaming on social media as well, that you're able to see a program coming from your hometown? Charlotte is watching as well, as is Hillary. Darren's on with us as well. Darren, I do appreciate your comments. I can't always get to them all, but they're all read, as you can imagine. And we have Yvonne, Kathy, Audrey, and Gilbert with us as well. We are broadcasting live. Gilbert's watching from Knoxville, Tennessee, USA. Great to have you on board. Okay, we're broadcasting live from the Vault House here in Raphoe. We are out and about today, and we've got loads of more guests and more conversation about Raphoe, its history in the general area. It's not just its history too, it's vibrant future that people are very much working on. But let's take a break, and as I say, we'll be right back.
Looking for a great family day out? Don't miss the Ardra Show this Saturday 9th of August at Pierce Memorial Park. Enjoy livestock displays, a giant marquee, dog show, fun fair, vintage machinery, trade stands and more. There's free kids entertainment, a fully serviced restaurant and live music in the afternoon. A perfect Saturday for all ages. So grab the gang and head to Ardra this weekend.
Back to school? Don't worry. Tesco's got you covered with great offers like a 3-pack of polo shirts from €5. Plus 25% off all uniforms with your club card. If only figuring out the kids' homework was that easy. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in the majority of larger stores. Offer valid from the 30th of July to the 10th of August. Club card or app required.
Ireland, this is your broadband wake-up call. Over 275,000 people are waking up to Vodafone Fibre broadband, now for just €25 a month. So stop snoozing on award-winning broadband. Switching is easy at Vodafone.ie.
Subject to eligibility, signing up to our €40 per month broadband package, €15 discount applied for first 6 months, an annual price increase of $3.50 each April. 24-month contract applies. For terms, see Vodafone.ie.
Ready for a giant summer adventure at unmissable value? It's just a small step away in Northern Ireland. Blast off with family deals at the Armagh Planetarium. Early riser offers at the iconic Titanic Belfast. Dive into history at Ulster Folk Museum. Free for under 5s. Explore Carrickfergus Castle on the Causeway Coastal Route. Discover a legend at Seamus Heaney's home place, Balahi. And epic package deals at Lusty Beg Island Resort for Fermanagh. Book now for great value summer offers at discovernorthernireland.com.
And live score better at the post.
Total anticipation, total nerves, total adrenaline, total mayhem, total speed, total excitement, total heart, total bravery, total triumph, total celebration. Experience the total thrill of horse racing with Live Score Bet. Total betting. Bet responsibly. 18+ gamblingcare.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Get back to school sorted with all the essentials from school jumpers to shoes. Visit our kidswear department in store or shop online at mcelhinneys.com today.
Okay, welcome back to Raphoe here. We're live from the Vault House in Raphoe. Don't forget you can watch the show as well. Hop onto our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch at home if you are at home on your smart TV or your Fire Stick. Right, 3 guests in studio with me. I'll say good morning first to Jerry Keaveney, who's a coach at Raphoe Boxing Club. Good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Oh, not so bad, mate.
Right, you've been with the club now for over a decade.
Yeah.
All right, okay. And you've always had an interest in boxing yourself, haven't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Amateur?
Yeah.
Did you ever...
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever
boxer.
cross over?
No.
Okay.
No interest in that.
All right, okay. So your teenage years was all about boxing, so you got the benefits of it.
Yeah.
You understood the benefit. What was it for you that drew you in?
I think, basically the discipline of it all, going to different shows, getting away. I was in America boxing at a young age, 14 years of age, going to America, over in England, Scotland, and stuff like that there. It was just a brilliant... I loved it anyway. I loved everything about it. The training was always the toughest part, but making weight and everything. But the boxing end was.
Yeah, I think that actually is not often discussed, particularly with young people, because we associate cutting weight maybe with the pro game and what have you. But you have to be really conscious of your weight, even in the younger categories.
Yes, everything is about weight. At a young age, these young boxers are going in and they're boxing people their own age, their own weight. You could go a weight above and maybe box somebody who's maybe a foot taller, if you know what I mean. There's fine lines in it, so weight is a massive aspect for young ones, Yeah,
they say a good big one will always be a good little one.
Yeah.
And why has the Raphoe Boxing Club been so successful in terms of its output of successful boxers?
I think, generally it boils down to who was there before us guys, myself and Gary McCullough and Jerry McGrana. You had Tommy Stewart, who was there for years, Brendan Ryan, God rest him, and then of course Mr. Boxing, Peter O'Donnell. Without Peter, we wouldn't have a club, He's just a ray of sunshine all the time in the club. Where everybody,
I know down in Donegal Town too, it's the same. There were guys that, they were busy and older where they could maybe be relaxing a bit, but they still went, open the gym, get people in, put the arm around people if they need it, get them encouraged.
Well, that's it. It's about the young ones at the end of the day. And before we try to make a good, environment for the kids, having a bit of crack, a bit of banter and everything, but be serious when we have to be serious, when there's championships, when there's stuff like that, when there's weight to be cut and all. For the young ones, sometimes it can be very hard. You don't know what they're coming from. You don't know their backgrounds. We get to know them personally on a one-to-one basis, and everybody's different.
See, I think we do when we're younger. We do like discipline, structure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And we like a sense of belonging. And I think boxing's really, really good in that regard. And you've had Cathal McLaughlin, Danny Duffy, both won senior titles. Leah Gallen. 5 Irish titles. She also won 2 bronzes in the European Championship. Peter Park won 3 Irish titles.
Taylor Park, sorry.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. That's my mistake there. Well, it's not my mistake, but I'll take it. But so and then you will see in cycles, I presume, when the likes of Katie Taylor was coming on the scene, more girls might turn up.
Yeah.
When you see maybe Jason Quigley fighting for a world title, more lads might turn up. It's astonishing how people see their idols. That's why it's important. You can be what you see, effectively.
Yes. We have Jason, for example, down in the gym training. When he was training for a world title and stuff, young kids were amazed seeing this guy in the gym, but he was the exact same as everybody else.
You're standing
There's
hitting
no
the same
change.
bag as someone who's about to headline DAZN.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Where else do you get it?
And it gives what it does, and not just Jason, the likes of Cahill and these guys that are winning titles, and Danny Duffy, Leah Gallen, exceptional talent at boxing, all our boxers were looking up to these people and going, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
You
just have to put the work
but
in.
it's about commitment. It's about putting it in and everything else, putting in the effort, We have only 4.5 hours every week with the boxers, so there's a lot of time in between that for them to do their own things,
It's astonishing the output considering the time.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Ivor Goodies, Secretary for Raphoe Town Football Club. Ivor, thanks for joining us.
No bother, Greg. How's it going?
I'm good too. You've also been at it for 10 years now. Coaching, do you enjoy that? I would imagine you get a lot back from that, not least the trainers, people training people in boxing, in football as well.
Yeah, it's a bit like what Jerry was saying. I mean, they come on to you about when we cater for ages 6 up to nearly 60. We have people playing all age groups. We've senior men, senior ladies, and then we've walking football as well. So you have all age groups, but they come on to you very young. and maybe they move on later on in life, but you're kind of watching them grow as people as well as players.
Is it particularly special to have a senior ladies team, considering you're drawing from the local area?
Yeah, we've done a lot of work. I mean,
It's impressive,
Sinead and Liam have done a lot of work in that area, building the foundations. And then we got a bit of a spurt with the national Irish team doing so well in the World Cup. We got a lot of girls coming into the club. They've continued to grow that. We've utilised FAI programmes to help grow the interest in the girls as well. So we have over maybe 100 female members in the club, which is quite substantial.
And because we're a small county and a small country, relatively speaking, we were talking about this earlier on as they were sort of establishing a senior rugby team for ladies in Letterkenny, but just for ladies and boys. I mean, there is a pathway there. I mean, if you're good enough and you put your head down, you can see how you can advance.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Toland would be a great example. She was from St. Johnson, came to our club as a young girl, spent many years there, went on to play for Blackburn Rovers, Celtic, Manchester City. Now he's a full-time career in the UK. And on the other side, you have just up the road here, Conor McGrannan's just signed for the Finn Harps men's team. Again, was with us up until a young teenager, joined the academy and took it from there. And we've other players going through the same pathway with Finn Harps at the moment.
Hold your thoughts there. I'm going to take the 11 o'clock news after a break, and I also have Jeffrey Devaney who I want to speak to, but I don't want to rush you guys. So just stay where you are. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the news.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
What might sound like chaos to us is a moment of pure serenity for Lisa. Because the kids are back for seconds, the picky eaters are happy, and her barbecue is going down a treat. From barbecue bundles to everyday savings, summer is served at Dunnes Stores with online delivery, click and collect and same-day delivery with Buy Me. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Hybrid, plug-in hybrid, electric. Don't get confused. Get excited with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. At Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles, you get the power of choice. There's our wide range to see, including the Toyota CHR and the all-electric BZ4X, with power-up boosters of up to €3,000 and flexible payment options available. So order now at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply. Best-selling claim based on latest figures.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Make the most of the last weeks of summer at Century Complex. Enjoy blockbuster movies, indoor soft play, thrilling crazy golf and delicious family meals all under one roof. Rain or shine, there's fun for everyone this August. Century Complex, perfect for keeping the kids entertained whatever the weather. Visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Oakfest 2025 returns to Oakfield Park this September 6th and 7th. 2 days, 2 stages, 1 unforgettable weekend. Enjoy live music, incredible food and drink, and glamping under the stars, all in one of Ireland's most spectacular settings. Saturday, live and original, featuring Wet Wet Wet, Boney M, Racy, and the Whistling Donkeys. Sunday, Legends Reimagined, with tribute performances to the Eagles, Blondie, Springsteen, and more. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at oakfieldpark.com.
Summer's here! Yay! So it's time to stock up on sun protection at Aldi. There's something for everyone, like Lacora SPF 50 Plus Kids Roll-On at only $3.49. SPF 30 Dry Mist Spray for $3.99. And After Sun with Soothing Aloe Vera at just $2.49. All water resistant and dermatologically tested. So spread the word. And the sun cream, while stocks last.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock.
Good morning, 11 o'clock. The headlines on Highland with Donald Kavanagh. Israel plans to take control of Gaza City after its Security Cabinet backed the proposal by the country's Prime Minister. Tens of thousands of Palestinians are now living there, with Israel already in control of 75% of the Strip. An investigation is underway after a device exploded outside a vacant house in County Derry last night. A loud bang was heard in the Mloch Park area of Mahara at around midnight. Remnants of the device have been taken away for further examination. The sister of a man killed in the Omagh bombing has branded the Irish government as cold and defensive. Seaneen Conway's 18-year-old brother Gareth was one of those killed in the atrocity. She has now launched a legal bid to force the Irish government to establish its own public inquiry, saying if there's going to be real accountability and understanding, both governments need to be fully transparent. A Lifford Stranorlar councillor is backing the government's plan to restrict short-term letting in towns with a population of more than 10,000. Sinn Féin councillor Dakota Nick Venman says while she can understand the rationale for short-term lets, such as Airbnb in smaller towns and rural areas, towns like Letterkenny, she believes, have plenty of tourist accommodation options. People in Donegal are being encouraged to participate in Heritage Week. More than 100 events will take place across the county from August 16th to 24th. Several fee-paying heritage sites will be free next weekend. And warm and humid weather is on the way next week. Met Éireann says temperatures could hit the mid-20s with good spells of sunshine. However, some areas could see heavier thundery downpours. It comes as a yellow heat alert has been issued for most of England for this coming Monday. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 12 midday. Until then, from the news team, check all the day's news, of course, on the website, highlandradio.com. But for now, good morning.
Okay, you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here. We're into the last hour, broadcasting live from the Vault House here in Raphoe. We were chatting to Ivy Goody there just before the break, secretary of Raphoe Town Football Club. And you were talking about the success stories, but they're all success stories, aren't they? I mean, every kid that comes through and sort of, you know, achieves the best that they can achieve in the sport that they love. I mean, that is the measure of success, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think for us, it's about our membership kind of grows every year, and we take that as the main measure of success, that they keep coming back, they keep wanting to play, regardless of their level, regardless of their ability. And like I said, if we can offer them, you know, something outside of their school hours, some recreational activity, some social activity, you know, it's a 1-1 for us, and it's a 1-1 for them as well.
Talk to me about the walking football. Is that for primarily older people or
people like me? I mean,
well, I wasn't going to say that because you seem quite tall and active.
It was more of an FEA initiative that we sort of.
Jerry possibly could take you.
Yeah.
We'd have to double team.
Yeah,
you know?
Probably would. Yeah, it was something we kind of saw through the FEA and worked with them and did a trial here to see what it was like. And yeah, for maybe the older, stiffer guys like me, we found it as a way of getting to still play the sport we like. It also included maybe older women as well wanted to play that didn't feel comfortable playing the physical football. They felt it was something they could partake in, and it's been a huge success, even as a social event, never mind the sporting side of it.
And, you know, it's astonishing 50 years on, because there's a big celebration next week, 50 years in existence, to be going from strength to strength, to have such a high level of membership, and also to be so intertwined with the community, not just in, I suppose, you know, receiving community support, but giving back to the community as well. I mean, it's a great institution.
Yeah, that's really been the ethos throughout. Same as probably Jerry would say about the boxing. We wouldn't exist without the community, full stop. And we want to give back when we can. So, you know, we use our facilities for fundraising events. Last year we did something for the play school who are kind of struggling with their facilities. Did fundraising event up at our club for them. We did something this year for kids in Zambia where Liam had a contact who was trying to help them sort of develop their football abilities out there as well. So we like to make it a two-way thing, very much. You know, we wouldn't be here without them. We want to give something back and offer them things to the community as well, as much as possible.
Another set of unsung heroes in any community is the Tidy Towns Committee, battering away, having meetings, God knows when and God knows where. And also, you know, so that when you land into a place early morning, it's looking resplendent. This town, particularly florally, is absolutely beautiful, Jeffrey. Is that the work of the Tidy Towns?
Yeah, that's the work of the Tidy Towns.
How do you keep your flowers looking so good at this time of the year?
Oh, just work. Well, we have a CE scheme and workers on that, and they would be in charge of attending the flowers on maybe every other morning and watering and so on.
Yeah, the place is looking beautiful. You should be so proud.
Yeah. The thing about Tidy Towns competition is that floral displays aren't really what they're looking for. They're looking for to raise the awareness of beauty spots in the town, like houses, age of houses, walls, stuff like that. And flowers, of course, soften the look around the town, and trees, of course. And we're very lucky to have so many trees in the Diamond and surrounding areas. And but whenever the judges come, they want to see progress. They want to see action on last year's report, maybe where there were. Like, you have to be able to take criticism.
Yeah, where do you see the areas for improvement? Because I'd imagine in a historic town too, it's difficult because you've got a mix of modern, you've got a mix of restored old, you've got a mix of dereliction because you can't do everything all at the same time. I'm not saying you don't look around and see dereliction, don't get me wrong, but I suppose that's what they're looking for, and it's very hard to meet all those standards, I'd imagine.
Yes, it is. Dereliction it's a common thing in a town. A building goes down, or people leave it, or it stops being a shop or whatever. But the judges would make an allowance for that and say, well, okay, you've done such and such, you've painted it, you've cleaned it up and left it pretty respectable looking.
What if he's targeted then, Jeffrey, is the key points going forward to try and eke out extra points? Because that's what you're doing at this point. You're eking out, aren't you?
Yeah. So you would look at the weak points from the year before or the last 5 years and see where there was criticism and what we can do about that. And sometimes criticism is a positive thing, and you have to take it as that.
I think you're being very diplomatic too.
No, well, yeah. I remember the first years, just going way back.
That's like 88, isn't it?
Around
That's
88,
when the Tiny
we
Towns was
entered first. Yeah, we may have started a few years before that, where a local gang of us got together and said, like, the flower beds need a certain amount of work. Even before that, there was an old market house in the Diamond, and of course that was demolished in the early 70s. But it left a real eyesore. So Donegal County Council decided to actually build a small, low-level wall around the perimeter. And for some reason, they thought a bandstand was a great idea. And of course, it probably was because we had...
There must have been a bit of a rush on bandstands because they thought it was a good idea at the Market Square in Letterkenny as well, I think.
Yeah. It never was a success here, even though we had very successful bands. We had 2 pipe bands in the town.
Just didn't take off.
No, and we had a junior band which had a big committee. But whenever it came to an event, they didn't really want to go up in that stand, young kids and all. So, but then they decided to do another revamp on it and increase the parking area, and that's where that bandstand was. So it disappeared. They put up lovely railings and the small walls around.
Well, a mistake is not a mistake if you learn from it, is it?
Yeah.
Talk to me. Yeah, go ahead.
Just on that,
Yes,
well, we sort of found then that things drift and things get run down and they look worse. So a committee of us got together, a group got together and started to get stuck in the evenings and do a bit of gardening and cut the grass, on a routine basis and all. And there was an odd snigger of a laugh at us back in the 80s, but you can understand council just couldn't possibly, with all the towns in Donegal alone, they couldn't possibly keep the standard up. And I was on a committee before the Community in Action. It was a Raphoe Development Association, which was mainly, the idea was to try and bring some new business into the community and so on, and help them out where we could. But we had a file of letters sent to Donegal County Council asking for this, that and the other. We had meetings with them in the county house. And whenever I sort of branched off from that, because we had a fundraiser through that group, and I got a certain amount of money to put into the Tidy Towns section. So we started sort of in earnest from then on, and we had school competitions and paintings, and it just continues now even to
Brilliant.
this day.
Fantastic. And again, it's the longevity of it as well.
Yeah.
Not unlike Raphoe Hardware and Grain, in operation since 1978.
Yeah.
1978 doesn't feel that long ago, and then you realise what year you were born, and then you know straight away that it's quite some time ago. It seems recent still, doesn't it, right?
Yeah, true.
But 1978 was 30 years from World War II, and
yeah.
we're further away from that now.
Yeah, thank goodness we are.
I mean in terms of timeline, not in terms
yeah.
of loss and what have you. But anyway, listen, continued success with everything that you're doing, Jeffrey. A brilliant member of the community. As I say, our Tidy Towns people, I think, are often unsung heroes, but not on this show. Jerry, it's been lovely having you in as well. Keep up the great work that you're doing with the Raphoe Boxing Club. Thank you so very much for calling in. And, of course, last but not least, Ivor Goody, Secretary for Raphoe Town Football Club. Again, a massive success story. The membership is astonishing. You know, it's fantastic.
Yeah, 250 is not bad going.
Really is. I know it's surrounding areas and all, and don't know why I snorted there. And you won't say no to good players from other parts of the county if you can suck them in here, but still, it's an amazing achievement. All right, thank you all, three of you. Now, we've still loads to come on the show. We've got some live music that's coming up very, very shortly. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. We also have a big cash draw, which we're launching here in the show. So lots coming up. Stay right where you are here on the 9 till Noon show.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
It's Cabaret 25 at Harvey's Point. We start again on Wednesday, September the 3rd, and every Wednesday until November the 5th. An amazing lineup of stars, gourmet food, the warmest of welcomes, and all in the beautiful surrounds of Harvey's Point on Lough Esk, Donegal Town. Book today 074 972 2208 or harveyspoint.com. The Harvey's Point Cabaret, a night not to be missed.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
With back to school on the way, don't let blurry vision hold your child back. At Inish Eye Care, we've a great offer of a second pair of children's glasses free. Yes, buy one pair of glasses and get a second pair free. Book your child's eye test by calling into Inish Eye Care in Carndonna Shopping Centre or at 14 Ardravin Square, Buncrana, and see the full range of glasses available. Some terms and conditions apply. Inish Eye Care, your vision, our focus.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 14 minutes past 11. You're welcome back to the 9 till Noon show. It's a special show today. We are broadcasting live from a beautifully restored building, saved building. This building we're in here very easily could have been lost to time with dilapidation and what have you. You heard from Mary Hart earlier on talking about coming in and... there were birds flying around it, and they gathered up the money. They got Mary McAleese up. They officially opened it, and it's here now, a beautiful building in the heart of Raphoe. That's where we're broadcasting from. We have three guests in studio with us right now. Yvonne McGinley, who's on an accordion. Good morning, Yvonne.
Good morning.
How are you getting on?
Very good.
Good stuff, all right. We've got Richard Gilpin, who's a musician and a music teacher. Good morning, Richard.
Morning.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't have your mic up. Thank you so much for joining us. And you're with Tori Stewart, who's a musician.
Tori.
And
Gilpin.
Gilpin,
my daughter.
Okay, I beg your pardon. This again is what's been put down in front of me. My apologies. And that's your dad?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
good stuff. Do you sing all the time with your dad or perform with him, or what's the story?
Yeah, I play gigs with him all the time since I've been
Well, on and off since I've been really about 4. I'd like play different things.
Okay, I need you to edge a wee bit closer to
Sorry.
the microphone. It's okay. I just want to be able to hear you. Richard, I mean, obviously you've been playing music all your life, I'd imagine, with being a performer and a teacher.
Yeah.
Where do you gig?
Oh, all over Donegal, mostly now. You know, in the past, it's been, I've done tours in Scandinavia and different places, but at the moment, it's mainly Donegal, really, and surrounding areas.
Now, you're going to do 2 bits for us, so we're going to get straight to the music, if that's okay. We can chat a little bit more. So what are you going to perform for us first, Richard?
I'm going to play a traditional song from Donegal called Garden Mother's Lullaby.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Sleep, my child, for the red bee hums, the silent twilights fall. Evil from the grey rock comes to wrap the world in thrall. Alan Van, oh, my child, my joy, my love, my heart's desire. The cricket sings you lullaby beside the dying fire. Dusk is drawn and the green man's thorn is wreathed in rings of fog. Shira sails his boat till morn upon the starry bog. Alan Van, oh, the paly moon hath brand her cusp in dew, and weeps to hear the sad sleep tune I sing, oh love, to you. Faintly sweet doth the chapel bell ring o'er the valley dim. Terman's peasant voices swell in fragrant evening hymn. Alan Van, oh, the low bell rings my little lamb to rest, and the angel dreams till morning sings its music in your breast. Sleep, oh babe, for the red bee hums, the silent twilights fall. Eve Val from the grey rock comes to wrap the world in thrall. Alan Van, oh, my child, my joy, my love, my heart's desire. The cricket sings you lullaby beside the dying fire. The cricket sings you lullaby beside the dying fire.
Absolutely brilliant. How lovely was that? That's Richard Gilpin, Tori Gilpin, and Yvonne McGinley on the accordion. What's the background to that song, Richard? I'm just watching the live feed, the live chat coming in. Lots of people are particularly loving that one.
Yeah. It's an old song, I know that. It's been recorded way back from the 1950s, although it was definitely it was known about by in the 1800s.
Really?
So yeah, it's that old, and there are some Irish words in there. So there was a time when traditional songs, there was some songs that had both Irish and English. Sometimes a verse of Irish and sometimes a verse of English. So it's kind of from that time, and it's all about Garton and Termon and Glen Bay. And it was written by a guy called, I think I've got the name right, Herbert Hughes or something like that.
Sounds like a good name. I'll tell you, that's a song steeped in history there. I don't think you'll struggle as much to figure out the name of the composer of our next song, because that's your good self.
That's my own song. Yeah.
What's the background to it?
I suppose good few years ago I was touring Scandinavia with a band, and there was a bit of kind of tension in the band, and someone kind of made a throwaway remark saying that it's all going to end in tears, and so I started to write this song as if, like a love song, it'll all end in tears. And the last song too, we're actually recording it. I have a recording studio
in your house,
at the house, yeah. And in between other clients, I've been recording some of my own kind of material. Brilliant. And some new traditional songs too.
Fantastic. And you're going to release this one then?
Going to release this one in hopefully in a couple of months.
How exciting!
So
brilliant.
I'll be send it over to you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Right, so shall we hear it?
Great.
Okay,
yeah.
just one more time. This is Richard Gilpin. This is a song he wrote himself, and he's accompanied by his daughter Tori, and you'll hear the accordion of Yvonne McGinley on that. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. She was knocking back the vodka like there was no tomorrow. Everybody knew she'd bring you nothing but sorrow. Yet for her you would beg, steal, or borrow, and she'd bring you nothing but tears in the end. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. Well, you can run and you can hide, but you just can't pretend. She'll bring you nothing but trouble, my friend. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. You're so tired of running around in circles, but still you've never done enough. All fired up, we're gonna make it right up to the top. You got your foot on the pedal, but you've got no brakes to stop. It'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. Well, you can run and you can hide, but you just can't pretend.
pretend. She'll bring you nothing but trouble, my friend. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. Now they've got you surrounded, but there's nothing left to defend. And the water keeps on rising on ever shrinking land. And you know your heart is broken, but you know it'll never mend. It'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. Well, you can run, you can hide, but you just can't pretend. She'll bring you nothing but trouble, my friend. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. Well, you can run, you can hide, but you just can't pretend. She'll bring you nothing but trouble, my friend. She'll bring you nothing but tears in the end. That's what she told me. She'd bring me nothing but tears in the end.
Yay! Well done. That was lovely. Thank you so very much for that. And Tori, your future in music, or is this just...
Yeah, you know what? I'm in my last year of school now. I'm going into
secondary school.
Yeah,
Okay,
secondary
cool.
school. I go to the Royal in Prior, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, that's what I've been doing all summer.
Study music. Okay.
Yeah.
And you need to get to college because you study music at school. You're coming home. He's teaching music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotta get going.
Well, listen, we wish you every success in what you plan to do in the future. Richard, thanks so much for calling in.
It's a pleasure,
been lovely having you in, and we look forward to getting the studio version of that. It sounds fantastic, anyway. A nice sort of mix of, is it bluesy? Is it sawgrassy?
It's kind of,
but
country
then
blues.
You've got the accordion in there, which is a beautiful marriage.
It's a wee bit of traditional,
So it's a lovely thing.
I like that kind of mix, you
Excellent.
know.
And played with great delicacy in a small room, such a noisy instrument. It sounded, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. It's like coming in with a drum kit and trying to play it soft, right? You did a fantastic job. It sounded absolutely beautiful, and a beautiful compliment to the voices and the rest of the instruments. Thanks so much. We'll be back with information on how you can win. Not 5, not 10, not 25, but 20 euro. No, we're not doing that yet? Okay, Sean Quinn's here, but I'm being told no. That'll be before 12 anyway. Is that accurate enough to say? Yep. Okay, we'll be back with stuff after these.
It's back. 3 Hail Marys on Grainon Letterkenny. Friday, September 5th and Saturday 6th. Unmissable. See on grainon.com.
Irish beef prices pass out UK prices. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, as Finnish cattle supplies plummet, factories are forced to pay more to farmers. As export fever hits marts, suckler weanlings surge by €800 a head. We talk to the farmer who stood up to trespassers on his farm, how to manage back to school costs, and everything you need to know ahead of the Tullamore Show. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Since I switched to Hidden Hearing, I can hear it all. You could save up to €3,000 off invisible hearing aids. Save when you switch to us, upgrade, or save on your very first hearing aids. Pre-phone 1-800-370-000. Switch and save at hiddenhearing.ie. You should go to the hearing experts. T's and C's apply.
Meet James. He made big savings on his car insurance when he made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm James. It's true. I saved €301 when I made the switch. And with the out bonus, I know I'll get 10% of my premiums back in cash after 3 years claims free.
Sounds great. For a competitive car insurance quote like James's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC trading as Outsurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Planning a celebration? Discover the brand new Lily's Restaurant at the Mount Errigal Hotel. A stylish new space with beautiful surroundings and your own private bar. Perfect for birthdays, communions, anniversaries and more. Book now at Res Diary or call 074 912 2700.
Okay, we've had a lovely day here, broadcasting live from the Vault House in Raphoe. It's lovely to spend time in different places around the county. We hope to do more of that before the summer is out. So we could be coming to a town or village near you just to bring the show to the people, as you are so loyal in, as figures showed this week, in listening to us. It's very much appreciated. Sylvia Allen Hamilton is treasurer of Mothers Union Derry and Raphoe. Good morning to you, Sylvia. Thank you so much for calling in and having us here in your beautiful town.
Good morning.
Talk to me about the Mothers Union. It's an international group. It's part of an international sort of a setup, isn't it?
The Mothers Union is a worldwide Christian organisation. It will be 150 years next year. It was founded by a lady called Mary Sumner in London, and she saw, I suppose, a need for families, and she was supporting children and the mothers from a Christian point of view, and to help the mothers parent their children. So this started off in London and has now become worldwide.
And do you find that there's an outreach, or that people who need your organisation find you when they need it?
I think a lot of people don't know we exist, really. Although we are based here, there's branches here in. We have the Raphoe branch, and then we're at diocesan level, which is Derry and Raphoe, and then the All Ireland level. And the work we do is quite a bit in the community. You know, we support domestic violence, the victims for that in Letterkenny, and we food banks. But at our meetings, we have prestigious speakers come to educate us and talk about, for me, healthcare or things like that. But also, we are a charity, we're a fundraising, and we send our money, you know, locally as well as internationally. And overseas, we send money, and the Mothers Union have programs for education and agriculture. And especially, you know, in African countries, they educate the women in literacy and numeracy. And then they can start their own businesses, like making clothes, because they can count, they can learn, and because women are the workforce in some of these countries, and then they can be independent or educated, they can educate their children, and then from an agriculture point of view, they can start up farming in a small way, and then
so
progress.
You give them, rather than sort of handouts, which is perfectly fine when needed, you tool people up to be able to sustain themselves.
Yes.
Especially women.
Yes, especially women.
And how do you reach people locally? Do you get referrals? I don't know, from local organisations or.
Well, very occasionally, but we would reach out and look for the need in the community. What's needed. Now,
So even though there's an international membership of 4.1 million, it's made up of sort of very intimate local, almost under the radar activity. That sounds worse than I intended. But I mean, what I'm saying is, it's not high profile stuff.
well,
even though it's a
we
massive
would like it to be. We would like it to be, but a lot of people think we just make tea and buns.
Nothing wrong with that either, but there's more to it.
But as our bishop said, we are a stone in his shoe, because we're there in the background all the time pushing, and a lot of it is unseen.
Well,
you
look,
know.
we all need a stone in our shoe too sometimes. Listen, anything we can do going forward, Sylvia, to get the message out there, of course, we're more than happy to do so. I'm also joined in our studio by James Rulston, Treasurer and former President of, is it Macra na Firma or Macra na Firma? Is it two Macras? Because
Just
everything
one.
that's been handed to me has got a double Macra, and I'm thinking, is this a completely new organisation? No, of course not. You're a dairy farmer in Newton. How's business?
Yeah, it's not too bad this year.
What? Are you not a farmer?
Well,
can I have a bit of complaining, please?
Could always be better, I suppose.
That's
but,
more like it. Bring
you know.
it on. And is dairy a good area to be in at the moment? I mean, there seems to be a retraction in certainly beef production. I'm not sure as much in dairy, but I mean, obviously, you know, the strongest will survive, and the less production there is, I suppose, the more value for your product. Is that the way with dairy, or are we just seeing that with beef at the moment?
Definitely the amount of dairy is it's definitely static.
Yeah.
It's going down slightly, I suppose. There's a lot of expansion in the last 10 years, and I think that's kind of coming to a halt now.
Well, that's because everyone was told to start pumping out milk, start pumping out beef, and next thing you know, it's like, stop pumping out milk, stop producing so much beef.
Yeah, I suppose environment is so much more to the fore this last couple of years, and it's becoming more and more regulated with fertilizer registers and irrigation and things. So.
Are you one of those farmers too that have an educational background that you've brought into farming? Because we're seeing more and more of that now. It's not essential, but you know, did you go to college to study farming, or did you just do it old school and work from a very young age in farming?
No, I went to Queen's in Belfast and got a degree in agricultural technology.
You need that now, don't you? It's part
yeah,
of,
yeah. You need at least a level 6 to qualify for grants and subsidies. So.
Yeah, but even just to, it's such a complex area now. I mean,
there's the paperwork burden's getting more and more all the time. You know.
If you look at the age profile of our farming community in this country, it's high. There's no doubt about that. And I'm hearing from older farmers, they wouldn't encourage young people into farming, but we need to have a conveyor belt of farmers. Do you think there still is a good career in farming for young people listening to this show this morning?
Yeah, I think it can be a very rewarding career. I mean, it's very difficult to get into.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't come from a farm, it's very, very difficult. But definitely, there's a lot of opportunities there, and there's definitely a lot of enthusiastic young people coming in all the time. It's just keeping them there.
And there's I was speaking to, you know, it's girls and boys as well too.
Yeah.
There's a great mix there. Talk to me then about the monthly meetings, Macra na Firma. What is its actual role, do you see?
Well, I suppose there's two roles the Macra does on a national level. They're basically they do a lot of lobbying, you know, for budget submissions and things, bits and pieces. But for us in our local club, we just we organise a meeting usually every month, and then we do a lot of social events and a bit of fundraising and some skills, like we do fencing and welding and stock judging, things like that.
How important is it to get together with other people that can relate to you, because it's a high pressure job. It's not for the weak-minded, I don't think.
Yeah, and you know, people are so busy and you're constrained with the weather and whatnot, so it's great to have something that, you know, is organised for you, because people get so busy and they don't take time to organise things. So when there's a meeting every month, you know, it gives people a reason to come out and, you know,
definitely
see everybody.
And you know, Sylvie, just to bring you back in here too, you know, we're talking of one great organisation for farmers, and then talking about you and your organisation. And we've got great people like you guys. It's connecting people with the services, isn't it? That's the one thing we try and do an awful lot on this show, because people often feel hopeless, or there's no help out there, or they feel isolated on their farm and no one gets me, or in, you know, the people that you deal with. It is about connecting people, isn't it?
Yes, Very much so.
Yeah, which is hopefully the function of what we're doing. Are you encouraging people along to meetings, James?
Yeah. If you're in anywhere near the Raphoe area, our next meeting is on the 22nd of August in Raphoe. As you'll see, if you look at our Facebook page, we always post when the meeting is and what time and where.
Brilliant. And what's the name? Is it Macna-Firma?
Just Raphoe Macna-Firma.
Okay, yeah, because we need, we need older farmers to start thinking about transition as well too, which they can be very stubborn on, but also young people to say, right, I can go to Queen's or I can go here, there, or wherever, and have an internationally recognised qualification that if it doesn't work here, you can travel the world with it. All right, fantastic stuff. Lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much, James. Is there anything you wish to add? We covered everything there, I think, didn't we?
No, and if you're anywhere else in Donegal, there's clubs all over the county.
Yeah, get involved.
Get involved,
All right,
and
okay.
it can be anything you want it to be.
There's a little hint, and I mean this with no insult, of the guy out of Clarkson's farm. Would you get that at all? No? Do you know the guy out of Clarkson's farm, the younger guy? Are you seeing any of him in that? No? Is it just? Huh?
I don't know about that.
I swear, when you smile, okay. Well, we'll see. And it's, as I say, he's a lovely fella, very, very successful. I don't know. Maybe it's just my eye. All right, thanks, James. Don't hit me. It's a compliment. And also, Sylvia, thank you so much. Lovely to have you in, and keep up the amazing work. Yes.
What you asked James about. People we would love to have, especially young people.
When and where? Go ahead.
Yeah.
When and where can
well,
people get
we
more
meet every
information?
month. We meet, and we'll be back in September. But we would love young people to come because I know young women are busy and have young children, but you don't have to be a mother or you don't have to be married, and you. So we would love some young people to join.
And there is a trend. There is a trend of around here and everywhere in the county of us engaging and getting younger people involved in the various different things, be it historical or the work that you do, or the work that Richard does. Okay, listen, both of you, thank you very much indeed. It's been lovely having you on the programme. We'll be back after these.
A public service announcement from Donegal County Council. The Northwest Energy Agency, established by Donegal County Council, provides independent information to homeowners on how to make their homes more energy efficient, such as the types of works required, funding options including SEAI grants and low-interest finance, and how these energy-efficient improvements can be delivered. The agency has now opened a generous €1,000 introductory offer, which is available to the next 10 homeowners who progress to Stage 4 and enter a contract for full energy upgrade works to B2+ rating. This offer is supported by the EU Life funded LEAP project. Further details available on the Council website and social media platforms. Donegal County Council, protecting our environment and supporting our communities.
Virgin Media Broadband is smooth. How smooth, you ask? Well, imagine you're a big old walrus, and rather than lumbering around a glacier avoiding polar bears, you're on a lake, driving a speedboat. 3,000 kilos of mollusk-munching magnificence, feeling the wind in your whiskers and the sun on your big blubbery face. That's the kind of smoothness you feel with 99.9% broadband reliability. Available nationwide. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. For broadband reliability, see virginmedia.ie/proof.
Shop Homeland's August mega deals at your local Homeland or at homeland.ie. Save 10% off Kaiwaka Premium Rain Gear and Port West DX4 trousers. Save 10% off all dog leads and collars, and save 10% off leader dog food. All this and more until August 21st. Visit homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
Make a splash with Aura Leisure Swim Academy. Our fun-friendly children's swim lessons teach a lifelong skill and a safe and supportive environment. Give your child confidence in the water and in life. Find us at 10 convenient locations across Ireland, including Aura Letterkenny. Visit auraleisure.ie/swim to dive in today.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Get back to school sorted with all the essentials from school jumpers to shoes. Visit our kidswear department in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
The weather forecast, mostly cloudy with patchy drizzle to start, though that is given way to sunny spells and drier weather as this day wears on. Just some scattered showers about, largely dying out though. Temperatures 17 to 20 degrees in moderate to fresh. Southwesterly wind strong near the northwest coast. We have in studio with us our CEO, Head of Sales, Sean Quinn. Imagine why. You're very welcome along to Raphoe.
It's great to be out and about, Greg.
Isn't it lovely? I love it. Right, okay, so this is Highland Radio's Mega Summer Cash Draw. Always hugely popular. At times we give away cars. At times we give away home improvements. They're fantastic prizes, fantastic initiatives. But this is all about the hard, cold cash for you to do with whatever you want.
Yeah, so we're bringing it back by popular demand. It was very well received last year. So we've 20,000 euros in cash to give away as of right now. We've opened the lines in the studio back in Highland and also on highlandradio.com. So you can now enter the 5 draws starting from now. And like last year, what we're going to do is every Friday, we'll be giving away 2,500 euros in cash. So next Friday on your show, and then the following Friday, the 22nd of August, it'll be on John's show around the Northwest. The following Friday will be on Jive Time. And the final draw on the 5th of September will be with Lee on the Naughty Alarm Clock for another 2,500, followed then by the big one, which is 10,000 euros in cash.
Yeah, okay, so there'll be 12.5 grand given away on Friday the 5th of September. It's only round the corner, folks. So in total, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 draws. So you know what that means. The earlier you enter, the better. We've had people won in the past that bought their ticket on day 1 or day 2 and almost forgot they'd entered because the draws just roll on. Your ticket goes into the draw drum and it is there. So if you want to be in all of the draws, I would suggest you get your tickets right now. highlandradio.com, click on the draw link. Tickets are €15. You can get 5 for 50. So effectively, either you do it individually or if you want to group in with other people, you can get them for a tenner each. If you want to buy one and have a punt, it's €15. And I was chatting to someone the other day who was entering a competition. 100 quid they were buying a ticket for. Now, fair play to them, don't get me wrong, but it was for a villa somewhere. The one advantage we have, this is primarily, it's our draw, right? It's in our area. And that means that's reflective in the numbers. So, listen, I'm not overselling it, but you have a really good chance of winning in this one because it's not an international, global blooming competition.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling this might be the first time where we might see a double winner, Greg. I think somebody's got 5 chances to happen. It hasn't happened yet.
There's more chance of the Rabbits making you see. Right, okay.
Whoa. No, they did that.
Okay, so it could happen.
So I could be right then. I could be right. Watch this space.
Yeah, okay. And this is just in case you're not aware, from the get-go, Sean is insisting that someone could win the first prize. He's going to put the ticket back in and then they'll win again. And he's perfectly right. Of course it could happen, but we're down to the chances of it happening. Who is to say stranger things have happened? You certainly could be right, Sean. So the tickets are live now. highlandradio.com. That's perfectly safe, secure, but maybe you don't use cash. Call into the station in office hours, or maybe you'd prefer to ring and chat to Bronwyn or someone else in the office, and they will help you process that. But if you want to be in all of the draws, get your tickets right now. 15 for one, or you can get them as cheap as a tenner each if you buy 5 for 50. And if you're not in, Sean,
well, you can't win.
You simply can't win.
And I would say, just to emphasise, is if you're going to buy now, because it does give you the chance of 5 draws. This time next week, we'll be giving somebody the chance to win 2,500 euros, and we will do for the next 4 weeks. It's a great opportunity to change you might even get an end of the summer holiday out of it. Something that you weren't planning. 2,500 extra in cash.
Yeah,
Let's go.
And I'll tell you, for 2.5 grand cash, you're talking 10 days all inclusive for a family of 4.
Oh, you would be this time of year.
That is
absolutely
what you could
guaranteed sunshine.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's not get
unless you go to Scotland.
And then, of course, the 10 grand. That's the big one. You can do with that whatever you wish. So there are 5 draws in total. 2,500 by 4, 10 grand by 1. If you get your ticket now, you're in all of the draws. And who's to say it could be an early number, a middle number, a late number? We've seen it all, but I'll tell you one thing that's happened consistently. It's people in the county are winning, and that's fantastic because it spreads the love a little bit. And in terms of online competitions, the numbers here are conservative compared to some of them. and also we're trying to keep the entry fee as low as is absolutely possible, and you can get a ticket for a tenner effectively if you buy 5.
Absolutely.
Highlandradio.com, or give us a buzz 0749125,000. But let me reassure you, the online portal is incredibly secure and safe, so there's no worries in that regard. All right,
and the key thing is simple to use as well, Greg.
Yes, we like things simple.
Absolutely.
Some sites can be incredibly convoluted. All right, Sean, thank you very much indeed. I don't know, you hang about because, you're if you want to, because...
I just wanted to say one thing very quickly.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
James, your last guest, looked nothing like Jeremy Clarkson.
No, I never said
nothing
looked like
him.
Jeremy Clarkson, the young guy, the young cool guy. Yeah,
Caleb.
He looks... just when he smiles, and he's young and he's wearing green.
Well, he looked more like Jeremy Clarkson than he did Caleb.
He's a big guy and he's still outside. All right, stay there because Shannon Wilkin is joining us for her weekly peruse of the social media to try and keep us young and relevant. We've only got a couple of minutes, so I want you to pick some of the good ones. Again, I've no briefing notes. I think when Michaela did the show, she had a full A4 page, but you seem to have a lot of trust in me.
There was a page.
Go ahead. What are we talking about?
Went.
Oh yeah, Shannon Wilkin, new app by a dairyman that can find the best Guinness near you.
We were talking about this during the week, but both of us are not Guinness fans, and you were thinking...
Oh, Sean drinks Guinness either.
Do you drink Guinness,
so, no.
yeah?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, but anyway, we had the question of who rates the Guinness. So it's local users in the area. I'm looking at Mark here, and I'm just remembering he's a Guinness fan.
Yeah.
So the app is called Stoutly, and it's by Scott Montford from Derry. So if you want to go on, I don't know, best Guinness in Raphoe? Should we give it a rating after this? Do you approve, Sean?
Well,
I'll have to come back personally.
I'll have to say now, it's I wouldn't know. I drank Guinness years and years ago, but it wasn't for me now.
Yeah.
But people do say they know a good pint when they taste one. I will say that.
Breast milk flavoured ice cream.
I thought this was a good one after talking about the placenta, but it turns out it's not real breast milk. They've just...
A flavour.
It's sweet but salty. It's
Okay.
only available in New York in a specific ice cream shop, and it's available until the 10th of August. So we could
have.
We could make it.
He's gone now. Sean's out.
He's like, the breast milk ice cream is not for me.
I was lost in that last one there.
All right, Donegal Daddy.
Donegal Daddy, I saw, was pretending to be an RTE correspondent yesterday, reporting from Glanties. So obviously we've all seen the declining birth rates, and if we get the limelight back open again, it might help. But it brought me back to just the nightclub scene in general. There used to be one in Dunfanaghy, and it was a glorified shed. It was called Rooney's. I don't know, were you ever
You
in
might
it?
not remember it, but there was a district judge that insisted you had to eat in a nightclub.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so there was some, and it was a law that was never really sort of implemented. But I remember there was a wee bit of aggro in a nightclub somewhere or other, and the lights all went on at 1 or something like that there, and everyone got free sausage and chips or as part of the entry. And the idea was that this would stem any sort of antisocial behaviour. I'm not sure how successful or otherwise it was.
But I remember even people, they're like, back in my day when we used to go to, what is the one, the grill. They're like, we used to get like sausages and chips and all, and it was great. Like, but I think even now going out, if you're in the kebab shop, that's the best banter. So was it kind of the same thing?
No, because it was the middle of the night. I like Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson getting together.
I still can't 100% confirm if they're in a relationship.
Well, they haven't ruled it out, so it
but
suggests
they
to me
do
that
like
they
kiss
possibly
each
are.
other on the cheek and all, and then she has a lip gloss the last day. It's her own product, and she put it on him. He actually modeled it for her. He went, give me the lip gloss. So I think that's a sure sign.
So she's obviously was the queen of glam throughout the 80s and 90s, and now her thing is she's stripped back. She doesn't wear makeup, and I find it disgusting that people judge her in relation to that. But I'm a man. As a woman, do you think, you know what, fair play to you, or do you see it just as a marketing angle?
Fair play to her, but she is beautiful. Like some of us, we do need the makeup to look our
we only
best,
see you in makeup
you
and
know.
an OB.
I know. Greg's always like, oh, I have to look at you every other day.
No, I never
me.
say anything like that. I'm sorry. Okay, listen, we'll have more time next week. Shannon Wilkins there with a run through with some of what's making the headlines on social media and what people are talking about. We're going to finish with some live music after this break.
Roll on more full trolleys for even less with Lidl Plus. This week, you could spend just €99 on a full trolley worth €129 and save over an incredible €30. Push your savings further with new offers on the Lidl Plus app every week. Scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus. T's and C's apply. See Lidl.ie/Lidl Plus savings.
If you're looking to refresh your home, visit Foy's Fabric Department in Letterkenny. We've got ready-made curtains, made-to-measure options, window blinds of every kind and so much more. From cushions and throws to upholstery fabrics, you can choose from top designer brands and get advice from our experienced interior design team. Style it your way with the Fabric Department at Foy's in Letterkenny.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
You catch them in the corner of your eye, refusing to blend in. An electrifying presence you can't forget. The new Cupra Performance plug-in hybrid range is designed to move you further. With up to 130 kilometers of electric autonomy, you can set your course without compromise. Search Cupra plug-in hybrid today. All-electric range based on WLTP test data. Real-world driving results may vary.
Your local dealer is DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
Back for the last segment of our show from the Vault House here in Raphoe. We've had a lovely day and a lovely welcome, and local councillor Frank McBurty's popped in to say hello. And Frank, I can see why you're so proud of your town and the people within it. It's just that beautiful mix of modern heritage, culture and community, a fantastic sense of community around Raphoe that some communities would be jealous of.
Well, first of all, you're very welcome to Raphoe Highland Radio. In my opinion, this is the most historical town in the county, but of course I'm biased. But
that's all right too.
What do you call it? There's many aspects of heritage in this town that goes back for centuries. And as you know yourself, my father had probably the most famous nightclub in the Northwest in this town in this day, where you had the biggest country acts in Ireland playing on a daily basis. But recently, there was a documentary made in America about the Supremes when the Supremes played here in 1981. And my mum and dad's actually interviewed on it. So it's based in California. The university did the documentary on it. So
let us know when that's where that's being broadcast. I'll be interested in seeing that. And it's a nice honour for them, isn't it?
Oh, it's, what do you call it? It just shows you the history that's here.
Yeah.
Like Raphoe's a unique town. You've had the troubles on the border, but this community has always been strong together. Because it's a mixed community, and I think that's why Raphoe is still a thriving town today, and in particular, it's, in my opinion, the agriculture hub of the county.
Yeah.
And it's always had a political element. Like you've had Paddy Hart, who's one of the longest-serving TDs in the county. You had Paddy's son, Jimmy Hart, who represented Raphoe when it was part of the Letterkenny constituency. And then I got successfully elected in 2009. But I think the football club, the boxing club, the badminton
You've been
club,
involved in the boxing club too, haven't you?
I've been involved.
Yeah.
I'm a former boxer and played for Raphoe Football Club when I was a young fella. You have St Mary's JAA, which is Raphoe, Drumkeen and Convoy. And a lot of people call it Convoy, but it's actually the three parishes under the auspices of St Mary's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much to do in Raphoe, and it's a brilliant town. The Vault House here is second to none.
Yeah, it's
the
amazing.
Paddy Towns, what they contribute and the work that they do around the diamond and around the town in general, it speaks for itself. I mean, you only have to look at it today. Like, there's not many diamonds in Ireland that look like the diamond Raphoe.
No, it's kept its tradition.
And maybe now, when this new consultation for the regeneration of the diamond, hopefully we'll get a good few pounds.
I think people need to make sure that it's done right too, because I think some towns have lost that natural centre in sort of maybe playing to the modern sensibilities rather than sort of reflecting more in the past. So I hope that's factored into it. Listen,
Well,
Frank,
on one other aspect, like Raphoe has had the biggest DJs in the world.
Aye.
It's had the biggest bands in the world. It has the biggest live acts in the world over the years. And I mean, there used to be a May Day fair here as well. I mean, there's so much to do. The heritage and the culture of this town speaks for itself.
Yeah, for sure. Come here, you're playing golf today. What are you playing off this weather?
Oh, well, that's the most important thing.
What are you playing off?
I won't tell you that.
Go on, say it. Go on.
I think I'm playing off 12 or 13. But anyway, it's the Breast Cancer Classic in Letterkenny, and myself and Aidan Thompson, who's an advanced paramedic. We've sponsored a team.
Well done, and you're in pink too.
Which of course, you have to wear pink for breast cancer.
Brilliant. Good luck with that. Enjoy that. That's going to be a lovely day.
All right, Greg. Thanks.
And put all your cards in. You're probably really an 18, 19.
Well, what do you call it? We'll talk about that later.
That's local councillor Frank McBurty.
All my life too.
Okay, well,
fantastic artist.
We're going to get a bit of music from him, and unfortunately, we don't.
Releasing of mine.
Is he?
So
all right, good stuff.
Through the Gormleys.
All right, Frank. Thanks very much indeed for calling in, and we are going to wrap up. Apologies, news is going to be a little bit late, but we couldn't come to this part of the world without getting some music from local musician Aidan Laird. You've been a musician for 20 years, of course. Everyone knows who you are. And you're talking about Frank McBurty. Frank was talking about going fundraising and supporting cancer charities yourself. Pieta House, you've done fundraising for them in the past, so very community-minded as well as being an excellent musician.
Yeah, I am. Doing my best. Doing my best if anyone approaches me, you know.
What are you going to play us out with?
I'm going to sing a song that I co-wrote recently with a good friend of mine called Eamon Caron, a producer in Derry. Unfortunately, he lost his son last year. He was only 18. Got killed in a car crash. So myself and Eamon will be releasing this in another month or so.
All right,
it's called Taken Too Soon.
All right, so...
In memory of Noah Caron.
In playing us out, this is Aidan Laird and his track Taken Too Soon.
When you were taken away, we lost more than our son. We heard all the stories, all the good things that you done. And they were all good about you, the way you treated your friends, and how you were kind. Until the very end. It's hard to understand why you were taken far too soon. Was this God's plan? You're an angel now in heaven's room. But 18 years old is far too soon. You lived your best life, the best way that you could, and showed a lot of others to live life the way they should. Now our wee boat has sailed. We will fight the stormy seas. We pray you're at peace, forever in eternity. Hard to understand why you were taken far too soon. Was this God's plan? You're an angel now in heaven's room. But 18 years old is far too soon. Not forever young, far too soon.
Aidan Laird, thank you very much indeed, and keep an eye out for that being released. We do appreciate it, and that's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show for today. We want to thank once again everyone here in Raphoe who has welcomed us with open arms. A particular mention to Mary Hart as well. We're going to be back in studio on Monday morning from 9 a.m. But for me, Greg Hughes, and all of the team here live